Chapter 2963. Qin Feiyang was afraid that the fire python would be implicated because of him. The fire python's care for him was indescribable. If it was because of him, it would be punished or even lose its life. He would feel guilty for the rest of his life. But fortunately, none of this happened. However, putting aside the small beast, it didn't care about these things. But what did this ice dragon mean? It didn't even ask. The fire python asked, "Then this emperor will send you back to Great Qin now?" Wait a moment. Qin Feiyang hurriedly opened his mouth and asked, "Brother Fire, tell me the truth, did you see a fire Qilin at the scene?" He had always been concerned about the fire Qilin. This was because he always had an inexplicable sense of familiarity with the fire Qilin. However, this fire Qilin was not referring to the beast venerable. It was the fire Qilin that he had met in the Forgotten Continent. The fire python hesitated. Qin Feiyang asked, "Looking at your reaction, you have seen it before, right?" "To tell you the truth, I have indeed seen it before. Back then, when you were training in the miracle, it had already gone to the 3rd floor. And there was a divine beast with it," the fire python said. "Then why didn't you tell me earlier?" Qin Feiyang was suspicious. "The fire Qilin didn't want me to say it. Because at that time, we didn't know what was on the 3rd floor. The fire Qilin was afraid that you would take the risk to look for it," the fire python said. Qin Feiyang frowned, and was suddenly stunned, and said in surprise, "Wait, you just said that there was another divine beast?" "Yes. He had the appearance of a human, but I could tell that he was a divine beast. And at that time, he had the cultivation of a false god," the fire python said. "The appearance of a human, the cultivation of a false god?" Qin Feiyang was slightly stunned, and a figure gradually appeared in his mind. Immediately, with a wave of his hand, the figure of a middle-aged man condensed. The fire python nodded, "That's right, it's him. I didn't expect them to be together," Qin Feiyang murmured. He looked at Qin Badian and said, "Ancestor, you should be familiar with this person, right?" Qin Badian glanced at the middle-aged man and nodded, "That's right, he's the mythical beast from the endless ocean of the Forgotten Continent. That's him. Back then, you sealed him, causing his cultivation to remain at the false god realm. The last time he entered the divine site, it was to find you. Because at that time, they all said that you entered the 3rd floor." Qin Feiyang said. "Actually, it wasn't me who sealed it, it was the broken sword. At that time, I was only a war god. How could I have such a powerful method to seal him?" Qin Badian said. "I see." Qin Feiyang nodded in realization, and said, "Then to break his seal, isn't that only broken sword can do it?" "Not necessarily. Those whose strength has reached broken sword's level can forcefully break it." Qin Badian smiled slightly. "Then his seal should still be there, because there's no such powerhouse on the 3rd floor." Qin Feiyang's eyes trembled as he said this, and he said in surprise, "Wait, why didn't I see them on the 3rd floor?" Qin Badian said, "The 3rd floor is so big, it's normal that you didn't see them." No. From the 2nd floor to the 3rd floor, they appeared in the divine demon forest. I'm very clear about how terrifying the divine demon forest is. With the strength of the fire Qilin and the mythical beast Uncle, it's impossible for them to escape from the divine demon forest," Qin Feiyang said in a deep voice. "That means," Qin Badian frowned. Qin Feiyang pondered for a while and nodded, "Yes, they're probably doomed. Back then, I didn't have the qualifications to enter the 3rd floor, so I don't know what happened after they entered the 3rd floor. But over the years, I've been looking for them on the 3rd floor," the fire python said. "How was it?" Qin Feiyang asked. "I didn't find them." The fire python shook its head. Qin Feiyang's body stiffened when he heard this, and he sighed. It seems like they really died in the divine demon forest. I'm sorry. If I knew that the third floor was so dangerous, I wouldn't have let them in. The fire python said. That has nothing to do with you. Qin Feiyang smiled slightly, and then frowned slightly. But back then, when I entered the third floor, the door of the temple was tightly shut, and there was no way out. Could it be that the door of the temple was open when they entered? The fire python nodded. The door of the temple was indeed open in the past. No wonder. Qin Feiyang muttered and sighed. I just hope that they're still alive. Putting the fire Qilin aside, let's talk about the mythical beast uncle. Back then, when he was beheaded in public, the mythical beast uncle came all the way to the great Qin to save him. Although it was his great-grandmother who invited him, he couldn't forget this kindness. Heaven helps the worthy, don't worry too much. Taking a step back, even if they died in the Nether King's hell, I believe that they won't blame anyone. The fire python said. The fire Qilin won't, but this mythical beast uncle, Qin Feiyang couldn't help but look at Qin Batian when he said this. Why are you looking at me? If he hadn't stirred up trouble back then, would the broken sword have sealed his cultivation? To be honest, if it were me, if it were someone else, they wouldn't have given him a way out at all. Qin Batian said. That's true. Qin Feiyang nodded. This mythical beast uncle had stirred up a storm in the Forgotten Continent back then. Perhaps only the ancestor would spare his life. Qin Feiyang said, the whereabouts of the fire Qilin and mythical beast uncle have been figured out, but Tan Wu and the infernal divine hound are still a mystery. Tan Wu, the infernal divine hound? Qin Batian was stunned. Yes. This Tan Wu is very valued by Yuan Bo. At that time, they also entered the ancient world with me. But after we parted ways in the land of the dead, I haven't seen them in the ancient world again. Later, I even asked the people of Ninth Heaven Palace and the Treasure Pavilion to help search for them, but they couldn't find them. I wonder where they are now. Qin Feiyang shook his head. Qin Batian asked, have you searched for the Eastern Tomb, the Western Desert, and the Southern Wasteland? Not really. Because I was in the Northern region at that time, the people of Ninth Heaven Palace and the Treasure Pavilion could only search in the Northern region. However, I'm quite famous in the ancient world now. Even if they're in the Eastern Tomb, the Western Desert, and the Southern Wasteland, they should have heard of me. Let's talk about it later. The four regions are very far away. Apart from the teleportation altar, can they reach the Western Desert, the Southern Wasteland, and the Eastern Tomb with their cultivation? Qin Feiyang frowned. Qin Batian pondered for a while and sighed. Even if it's possible, it's likely that they're already dead. It's not possible. There's a 99% chance that they're dead. After all, the northern region is not Great Qin. It's not something they can deal with. Lu Zhengyang shook his head. Dead, Qin Feiyang murmured. He also thought so, but he didn't want to believe it in his heart. Because Tan Wu was indeed a good person. Forget it. Everyone has their own fate. There's no need to investigate to the end. We'll talk about it later. If they're really dead, I'm afraid that even if you turn the entire ancient world upside down, you might not be able to find their bones. Qin Batian said. Sigh. Qin Feiyang shook his head and sighed. Then let's go back. By the way, Brother Fire, can you leave the divine site now? Me? The fire python was stunned. Yes. Qin Feiyang nodded. Lord Beast God and Lord Ice Dragon aren't here, so I can sneak out. The fire python said. Qin Feiyang said with a smile, if there's a chance, come and attend my wedding. Wedding? The fire python was stunned and said in surprise, you're getting married? I plan to. Qin Feiyang nodded. The fire python said with a smile, even if I die, I have to attend your wedding. Please don't. I don't want to feel guilty for the rest of my life. Qin Feiyang hurriedly waved his hand. The fire python laughed and said, then I'll see. If there's a chance, I'll go. Then I'll wait for your arrival. Qin Feiyang cupped his hands and smiled. Great Qin. Reincarnation Ocean. The wind whistled and the waves surged. In the ocean, the roars of the sea beasts were shocking. Demon Dragon Island. Qin Feiyang's stone statue was still standing on the coast of the inner sea like a guardian god, guarding this land. Swoosh! A group of people suddenly descended from the sky above the stone statue. We're finally back. That's right. It was Qin Feiyang's group. Looking at this land, Qin Batian, Lu Zhengyang, Xia Yuan, and the other 54 divine generals were filled with emotions. It had been more than 10,000 years since they left the great Qin. Although so much time had passed, everything in front of them was still very familiar. Even the air and sea breeze here gave them a strange sense of familiarity. This is the great Qin. Yi Zhong looked around curiously. This place was too small. With his cultivation, he could almost see the entire reincarnation ocean at a glance. Master, our small place definitely can't compare to the ancient world. Please don't mind. Qin Feiyang said with a smile. Yi Zhong couldn't help but laugh. Suddenly, he noticed the stone statue below and asked in surprise, "This is you, right? Isn't it very powerful and handsome?" Qin Feiyang chuckled. Shameless. Yi Zhong rolled his eyes and asked, "Why is there a stone statue of you here?" Qin Batian and the others were also puzzled. "Isn't this because I defeated the demon ancestor and Mu Tianyang back then and protected this land, so everyone erected a stone statue of me?" Qin Feiyang explained a little and hurriedly clarified, "Don't misunderstand, I didn't ask for this. I only found out when I came back last time." "Then you're amazing now. I'm afraid that the entire Great Qin and Forgotten Continent have such statues now," Qin Batian said. Qin Feiyang nodded embarrassedly. "Don't be embarrassed, this is what you deserve. And I have a feeling that the ancient world will be like this in the future. When that time comes, there will be statues of you everywhere." Qin Batian shook his head and smiled. Hee hee. Qin Feiyang rubbed his head, looking charmingly naive. "Let's go. Let's go for a walk." Qin Batian smiled. Qin Feiyang was stunned and asked, "Aren't we going back to the imperial capital directly?" "No hurry." Qin Batian waved his hands as he surveyed the surroundings with a warm smile on his face. Swoosh! Just as the group was about to leave, a figure appeared in front of them. It was an old man with white hair, but his body was extremely strong. Today's second chapter. Chapter 2964. At the same time, Qin Feiyang and the others also looked at the old man. Immediately, Qin Feiyang's face was full of joy as he hurriedly ran towards the old man. That's right. This old man was Qin Yuan. Uncle Yuan. Qin Feiyang was extremely excited. Although it had only been more than 10 years since the last time he came back, he missed it very much. "It's really you." Qin Yuan was also overjoyed and said, "Let Uncle Yuan see if you have become thinner. Then take a good look." Qin Feiyang chuckled. Qin Yuan looked up and down, left and right. After a long time, he smiled and said, "Not only have you not become thinner, but you have gained weight. Is that so?" Qin Feiyang looked at himself and said with a smile, "Then you have to pay more attention in the future." "Pay attention to what?" "It's good to be fatter. In the future, give birth to a fat boy for Uncle Yuan. Then Uncle Yuan will not be bored in the future." Qin Yuan chuckled and said. Qin Feiyang said, "That's for sure. When the time comes, I will let you carry me until your arms go soft. Huh, Qin Yuan laughed loudly, unable to hide the joy in his heart. At this moment, Qin Batian and the others also walked over. You are, when he saw Qin Batian and Lu Zhengyang, Qin Yuan's eyes suddenly widened. It's us. Qin Batian nodded. Qin Yuan's gaze trembled, and he immediately wanted to kneel down and bow. Qin Batian and Lu Zhengyang were quick to react and hurriedly pulled Qin Yuan. Qin Batian said, "Please don't do this. We can't afford it." Yes. We have heard from Wuxia and the others about your contributions to the Great Qin and your care for the Qin clan and our Lu clan. If it weren't for you silently protecting them, the Qin clan and the Lu clan would have long disappeared from the Great Qin. So, the people who should really thank are us. Lu Zhengyang said. The two of them looked at each other and bowed with their heads lowered. Thank you. You're welcome, you're welcome. We're all family. This is my duty. Qin Yuan hurriedly waved his hand, his eyes filled with tears. He was back. He was finally back. Uncle Yuan, let me introduce you. Qin Feiyang pulled Qin Yuan and walked in front of Yizhong, saying, His name is Yizhong, he is my master. Qin Feiyang then looked at Yizhong and said with a smile, Shizhuan, this is my distant uncle. He has been taking care of me since I was young. If it weren't for him, I wouldn't be who I am now. Hello, old Qin. Yizhong smiled and cupped his hands. Hello, Elder Yi. Qin Yuan hurriedly returned the greeting. You're welcome. You can just call me by my name. You've taught a good child. You don't know how outstanding Feiyang's performance was in the ancient realm. Yizhong smiled. You're flattering me. It's his own hard work that made him a talent. Qin Yuan hurriedly waved his hand. That's true, but a good guide is also very important. Speaking of which, I've picked up a big bargain. You've already nurtured him well. As his master, there's nothing for me to do. Yizhong smiled. I'm ashamed. Qin Yuan shook his head. Uncle Yuan, and these people, Qin Feiyang pointed at Xia Yuan and the others, saying, they're all subordinates who followed the two ancestors and fought in all directions. They're all heroes of the great Qin Empire. Greetings, old Qin. Xia Yuan and the others bowed. No need, no need. Qin Yuan waved his hand and said, you're all respectable heroes and the pride of the great Qin Empire. Don't mention it. We're just basking in the glory of Emperor Qin, Emperor Yang, and your highness. Xia Yuan said. Although Qin Yuan was already considered a junior in front of them, Qin Yuan's contributions to the great Qin Empire were worthy of all of their respect. Qin Yuan glanced at everyone and looked at Qin Feiyang, saying, you're all back. What about the ancient realm? Qin Feiyang smiled and said, the matter of the ancient realm has been settled. Great. The family can finally be reunited. Qin Yuan nodded with a smile on his face. Yes. Qin Feiyang nodded. This reunion did not come easy. Qin Yuan looked around and asked, where are the others? Why don't I see them? Could it be? At this point, Qin Yuan's expression changed. Don't be nervous, don't be nervous. Everyone's fine. Qin Feiyang hurriedly comforted and said with a smile, I'll call them out now. With that, Qin Feiyang appeared in the black tortoise world. Come out. Qin Feiyang said. One by one, figures walked out of the ancient castle and the courtyard next to it. Dong Zhengyang, Tan Tai Li, the mermaid princess, Zhao Tai Lai, Tang Hai, Tan Tai Li, Qin Rushuang, Dan Wangkai, Chui Li, Willow Tree, and so on. There was also the blood Qilin, the white-eyed wolf, the thunder leopard, the big black wolf, Yu Huang, the three black leopard brothers, the golden divine leopard, and so on. Yi Cheng, Yi Shui, and grandfather Yi were also there. Qin Feiyang asked suspiciously, "Why don't I see the demon ancestor, Mu Tianyang, Mu Qing, and the others? Let's forget about it." The demon ancestor walked out of the ancient castle and shook his head. "If I go out and look at the great Qin Empire, I can't help but think of the Heavenly Sun Empire. At that time, I might do something crazy again. Are you sure you want me to go out?" Mu Tianyang and Mu Qing also walked out and looked at Qin Feiyang. "Then you can try." Qin Feiyang looked at him provocatively. "Do you really think I'm afraid of you now?" Mu Tianyang raised his eyebrows. Qin Feiyang smiled and said, "I don't know if you're afraid of me or not, but I know that I'm definitely not afraid of you." "Cocky." Mu Tianyang pouted. Qin Feiyang shook his head and laughed. "It wasn't easy for us to come back. Let's go out and take a look." The demon ancestor, Dong Zhengyang, and Mu Qing looked at each other. "All right." The demon ancestor nodded. He had to face what he had to face. Running away from it wouldn't solve the problem. "Boss, hurry up. I can't wait." The big black wolf urged. He had always been curious and expectant about Qin Feiyang's hometown. What kind of place could give birth to so many terrifying people? For example, Qin Feiyang, Qin Batian, Lu Zhengyang, they were all monstrous existences. Qin Feiyang smiled. With a wave of his hand, everyone appeared outside one after another. Qin Feiyang smiled and said, "Uncle Yuan, everyone is here." "Hello, old master." Everyone greeted Qin Yuan one after another. Qin Yuan glanced at them one by one and said with a smile, "I thought that you would hide in the black tortoise world like last time." "You must be joking." Tan Li waved her hand and smiled. Qin Yuan chuckled and looked at the demon ancestor. Mu Tianyang smiled and said, "It's been many years. How have you been? Thank you for your concern." The demon ancestor shook his head. Qin Yuan smiled and said, "The past is like smoke. There's no need to cling to the past. Thank you for your comfort, old master." The demon ancestor cupped his hands. Mu Tianyang didn't say a word throughout. He looked around, and there seemed to be a trace of pain in his eyes. As for the big black wolf, the three black leopard brothers, Yi Shui, Yi Cheng, and old master Yi, they looked around curiously. "Feiyang, why don't I see Yi, Tan Wu, and the hellhound?" Qin Yuan swept a glance at everyone again and asked suspiciously. "Yi is still in the ancient world. Her master is the guardian of the ancient world. No need to worry. As for Tan Wu and the hellhound, I won't hide it from you. I don't know where they are either. After entering the ancient world back then, we separated." Qin Feiyang said. "I see." Qin Yuan was silent for a moment and said with a smile, "It's fine. Everyone has their own fate. As long as we don't forget them, it's fine." Qin Feiyang didn't say it explicitly, but he already understood that Tan Wu and the hellhound were likely doomed. "You're still the most open-minded." Qin Feiyang nodded and smiled. Qin Yuan smiled and said, "All right then. This old man will lead the way. We'll appreciate the present scenery of Great Qin while heading to the imperial capital. Then I'll have to trouble you." Qin Batian laughed. This stroll lasted for a day. When everyone arrived at the imperial palace, it was already almost evening. But when they entered the imperial palace, they all restrained their auras and didn't attract anyone's attention. They entered without anyone noticing. Everyone stood in the sky above the imperial palace. Qin Batian smiled and said, "The changes are quite big. I almost can't recognize you. Why don't you see how many years you've been away?" Tan Li smiled and said, "That's right. I've spent tens of thousands of years in the ancient world. Instead, I haven't contributed at all to my homeland. I'm ashamed. Qin Batian shook his head. Let's go down. Qin Feiyang looked at a pavilion below with a smile on his face. That was the autumn rain pavilion. After more than 10 years, it was still so familiar. Let's go. Qin Batian smiled slightly. Mother, father, I'm back. Qin Feiyang shouted and immediately rushed down. Autumn Rain Pavilion. At this moment, the emperor was sitting in front of his desk, reviewing memorials. Lu Qiuyu was also accompanying him by the side, and there were 2 maids beside her. When Qin Feiyang's voice sounded, the couple was stunned. The emperor put down the memorials in his hand, looked at Lu Qiuyu and asked, Qiuyu, did you hear Feiyang's voice? Yes. Lu Qiuyu nodded. It seems that we missed him too much and had an illusion at the same time. The emperor shook his head and smiled. Lu Qiuyu nodded. Your Majesty, Queen Goddess, it shouldn't be an illusion, right? Because we heard it too. The 2 maids looked at each other and said. You heard it too? The couple was stunned. Yes. It's indeed His Highness's voice. The 2 nodded. The couple looked at each other and immediately got up. They ran to the balcony and saw a group of people descending from below. Wasn't the person at the front the child that they had been thinking about day and night? Mother, father, Qin Feiyang landed on the balcony with a smile on his face. Lu Qiuyu looked at Qin Feiyang and said in a daze, why are you back? Are we dreaming? Pinch it. Qin Feiyang grabbed Lu Qiuyu's hand and put it on his face. Lu Qiuyu gently pinched it with her fingers, then immediately looked at the emperor and said, it's Feiyang. The emperor was stunned, then suddenly patted Qin Feiyang's head and said, you brat, why didn't you tell me you were back? Can that still be called a surprise? Qin Feiyang said with a smile. The emperor laughed loudly. The father and son immediately hugged each other, and the scene was extremely harmonious. Lu Qiuyu was also full of smiles. But suddenly, she looked at Qin Batian and the others in front of her, and her face suddenly froze. At the same time, the emperor who was hugging Qin Feiyang also saw Qin Batian and the others. His eyes were fixed on Qin Batian and Lu Xingyang, and there was a trace of surprise in his eyes. Chapter 2965. At the same time, Qin Batian and Lu Xingyang were also looking at the couple. These were their descendants, the current emperor and empress. Feiyang, the emperor let go of Qin Feiyang and looked at Qin Batian and Lu Xingyang in a daze, murmuring, they, whoosh. At this moment, accompanied by the sound of breaking through the air, several more figures broke through the air. Qin Feiyang's previous shout almost alarmed more than half of the imperial palace. Now it was Emperor Hong, Emperor Chen, Li Jian, Old Qin, Qin Sheng and others who rushed over. Is Feiyang back? From afar, Emperor Hong's voice came over. Great-grandfather, it's me. Qin Feiyang responded. You stinking brat, every time you come back, no one knows. Emperor Hong laughed and scolded. Emperor Hong, this is called a surprise. Old Qin's voice sounded. Soon. Several people landed in the sky above the autumn rain building. But when they saw everyone, they were stunned. There were so many people. Wait. Suddenly, several people also looked at Qin Batian and Lu Xingyang, their faces full of disbelief. Qin Batian and Lu Xingyang also looked up at several people. Father, Emperor Hong looked at Qin Batian's face, and his mind suddenly felt like a bolt from the blue. That's right. This was father. Although 10,000 years had passed, there was not much change. Grandfather, Emperor Chen's eyes also trembled. As the son of Emperor Hong, Emperor Chen was naturally Qin Batian's grandson. Feiyang, the emperor pulled Qin Feiyang's clothes. what's the matter? Qin Feiyang looked at his father suspiciously. The emperor looked at Qin Batian and old Qin, bewildered to the extreme. Qin Feiyang smiled and said, "They are standing in front of you, how can you not recognize them?" Of course, he knew that his father had already recognized him. It was just that it was too sudden and he didn't dare to believe it for a moment. Lu Qiuyu asked, "In other words, we're not dreaming?" "Of course it's not a dream. A living person is standing right in front of me." Qin Feiyang smiled. The husband and wife quivered. They quickly rose into the air and landed in front of Qin Batian and Lu Zhengyang. They knelt in the air and said respectfully, "Unfilial descendants pay respect to the two ancestors." Lu Zhengyang and Qin Batian looked at the couple and smiled. They stretched out their hands and said, "Get up." The couple stood up and looked at the two of them. Like children, they were at a loss of what to do. "Father, it really is father," Emperor Hong muttered. "It really is grandpa," Emperor Chen was trembling as well. Suddenly, the two looked at each other and ran down at the same time. They knelt in front of Qin Batian and said, "Unfilial son Qin Hong, unfilial grandson Qin Chen, kowtow in salute to father and grandfather." "Good, good, good." Qin Batian nodded repeatedly. He personally helped the two of them up, only to see that the two of them were already in tears. "Father, you're finally back." Emperor Hong grabbed Qin Baishan's hand, his eyes full of tears. I'm back." Qin Batian nodded. His eyes could not help but moisten. He looked at Emperor Hong and said with a smile, "That little guy from back then has become so old." "Yes. This child is old, but father, you're still strong. You haven't changed at all." Emperor Hong nodded, snot and tears running down his face. Sigh. "I've let you down. Back then, when you were still so young, I left you behind and went to the ancient world. I put all the burden of great Qin on you. Child, do you hate me?" Qin Batian said. Emperor Hong lowered his head. "I know, you must hate me. I also admit that I'm not a dutiful father. I can face everyone in the world calmly, but only you. I'm sorry." Qin Baishan's face was full of self-blame. "No," Emperor Hong hurriedly shook his head. He looked up at Qin Batian and said, "I did blame you before. Great Qin had just been established and hadn't even stabilized yet, but you left, leaving me to face it alone. At that time, I really didn't know what to do. But I know that Great Qin is your blood and sweat. I can't let Great Qin collapse like this. That's why I've always worked hard to protect this country. I can't give it to you and bring shame to the Qin bloodline. Father, look, I've done it. Great Qin is still here. Your blood and sweat is still here. I didn't lose face for you." Emperor Hong cried like a child. "I saw it all. Father is proud of you." Qin Batian nodded. "Hate, if it were anyone else in this situation, they would be filled with hatred. But I know that you must have something great to do. As time passed, this hatred also became my longing for you. I've been thinking of you coming back all the time. Sometimes, I even dreamed of you coming back. And when I woke up and realized that all of this was fake, do you know how painful it was in my heart? I even thought that you'd already died outside. But when Feiyang came back from the ancient world, he told me that you were still alive. And you're still fighting for the people of the ancient world. Do you know how excited I was when I heard this news? Father, as long as you're alive, I'm satisfied." Emperor Hong closed his eyes, tears flowing down uncontrollably. "Thank you for your understanding." Qin Batian patted the back of Emperor Hong's old hand, the guilt in his heart growing stronger. "Father," Emperor Hong couldn't hold it in anymore. He threw himself into Qin Baishan's arms, completely ignoring his image, and burst into tears. A white-haired old man throwing himself into a middle-aged man's arms and crying. To be honest, this was a very comical scene. But at this moment, no one made fun of him. They were only moved. Everyone silently looked at the father and son, tears welling up in their eyes. Qin Badian patted Emperor Hong's back and comforted him. "All right, you're already an old man, and you're still crying like this. Aren't you afraid that the juniors will laugh at you?" "I'm not afraid." Emperor Hong shook his head and hugged Qin Badian tightly, as if he was afraid that he would disappear in the next moment. Whiz! At this moment, many more people rushed over. There were guards, palace maids, and eunuchs. Among them were Qin Feiyang's younger brothers and sisters, such as Qin Yun, Qin Ji, and so on. After more than 10 years, they had become more mature, and their sisters had become more beautiful and moving. They were also attracted by Qin Feiyang's shout from before. "What's going on?" But when they entered the autumn rain building, they saw that there were actually so many people there. What was even more inconceivable was that his great-grandfather was crying in the arms of a middle-aged man. This was too funny. Ahem. Qin Feiyang dryly coughed and reminded, "Great-grandfather, my brothers and sisters are all here." "So what if they're here? What are you afraid of?" Emperor Hong angrily rebuked, looked up, and hurriedly got out of Qin Baishan's arms, and smiled embarrassedly. "They really came. You think I'm lying to you?" Qin Feiyang smiled. Emperor Hong glared at Qin Feiyang, wiped the tears on his face, and pulled Emperor Chen over with a smile. "Father, this is my son, your grandson, Qin Chen." "Grandfather." Emperor Chen bowed. Qin Badian looked at Emperor Chen and joked, "Even my grandson is old, I should admit that I'm old." At this moment, everyone laughed. "What? Father? Grandfather?" Those palace maids, eunuchs, guards, and Qin Yun were dumbfounded. Great-grandfather's father? Grandfather's grandfather? Wasn't this? A figure immediately appeared in their minds. The ancestor of the Qin clan, the founding emperor, Emperor Qin. Could it be? They hurriedly ran to the emperor and his wife and looked at Qin Badian. When they saw his face clearly, their eyes suddenly trembled. As the descendants of the Qin clan, who didn't know what Emperor Qin looked like. The man in front of them was exactly the same as the statue in the land of inheritance in the back mountain. Emperor Qin, it's really him. They were dumbfounded on the spot. Not only did their elder brother come back, but their ancestor also came back. Emperor Hong waved to the emperor and his wife and said with a smile, "You two, come here." The couple walked over. Emperor Hong said with a smile, "Father, they are my grandson and granddaughter-in-law." "Yes." Qin Badian nodded, looked at the couple, and said, "Thank you for your hard work." "Not at all, not at all," the emperor hurriedly waved his hand. As the emperor of a country, the highest power of the great Qin, his means and courage were naturally quite impressive, but at this moment, in front of Qin Badian, he was incomparably reserved. "You guys come over too," Emperor Hong waved to Qin Yun and the others. They hurriedly walked over. Emperor Hong looked at them and said with a kind smile, "Do you recognize him?" "Yes." They nodded, their eyes fixed on Qin Badian. "Father, these are the children of the two of them, and also Feiyang's younger brother and sister." Emperor Hong looked at Qin Badian and said with a smile. Qin Badian glanced at them and said with a smile, "Not bad, my Qin clan can be considered prosperous." Emperor Hong looked at them and said, "What are you guys still standing there for? Quickly kneel down." "Oh, oh, oh." The few of them nodded and hurriedly knelt in the air, saying respectfully, "Greetings, ancestor." "Good, good, good." Qin Badian nodded, his face full of gratification. "So lively?" At this time, a slightly cold voice rang out. Everyone looked over and saw an imposing young man with an outstanding temperament, stepping on the air. Qin Feiyang looked up, and a smile suddenly appeared on his face. That's right. This person was Qin Haotian. He was also attracted by Qin Feiyang's voice. Originally, he thought that only Qin Feiyang had returned, but he didn't expect there to be so many people. Haotian, come here quickly. Emperor Hong waved his hand. Qin Haotian scanned the audience, and when his gaze fell on Qin Batian and Lu Xingyang, his pupils suddenly shrank. But then, he returned to normal and landed directly in front of Qin Feiyang. Emperor Hong frowned and said, I told you to come over, what are you doing in front of your big brother? Qin Haotian didn't say a word, looking at Qin Feiyang, as if to distinguish between real and fake. Don't look, it's the real deal. Qin Feiyang laughed. Greetings, big brother. Qin Haotian smiled and bowed. Big brother, Qin Feiyang murmured. Don't misunderstand, I just politely called you big brother in public, I don't really like you. Qin Haotian said lightly. You brat, Qin Feiyang shook his head and laughed. Batian, this kid's temperament is not bad. Lu Xingyang looked at Qin Haotian and laughed in a low voice. Qin Batian nodded his head. Even without mentioning Qin Wentian's talent, Qin Baishan's temperament wasn't something ordinary people could compare to. Chapter 2966. After greeting Qin Feiyang, Qin Haotian walked in front of Emperor Hong. Emperor Hong pulled Qin Haotian and said with a smile, Haotian, let me introduce you. No need to explain, I know who they are. Qin Haotian shook his head and bowed. Qin Haotian, descendant of the Qin clan, greets the two ancestors. Good. The two nodded. Qin Batian asked with a smile, I heard that you have also reached ancestral awakening? Yes. Qin Haotian waved his hand, and a wisp of purple gold dragon power appeared. Not bad, my Qin clan finally has a successor. Qin Batian nodded and laughed. Qin Haotian asked suspiciously, Ancestor, what do you mean, big brother doesn't count? Count, definitely count. You are all good sons of my Qin clan, the future of the Qin clan depends on you. Qin Batian said. Ancestor, you are young and strong, why do you say such old words? With you here, the future of the Qin clan, do you still need us to contribute? Qin Feiyang laughed mischievously. What? Are you ready to be a hands-off shopkeeper? Qin Batian stared at Qin Feiyang. Qin Feiyang said, I don't. If there's anything you need me for, just say the word. You stinking brat. Look at yourself, even your great-grandfather and grandfather are so old, let alone me. Shouldn't I be a little older? Qin Batian rolled his eyes. Yes. Qin Feiyang nodded repeatedly. Emperor Hong said, Father, don't keep standing here, let's go in and talk slowly. There are so many of us, can we sit in the room? Qin Batian smiled. Of course. The emperor nodded and hurriedly led the way. A group of people entered the hall one after another. Don't say. There were too many people, it was really crowded. But no one cared. Beside the coffee table, Qin Batian looked at Yi Zhong and said with a smile, Brother Yi, please take a seat. No need, this old man is fine. Yi Zhong waved his hand and smiled. How can that be? You are our esteemed guest. How can we neglect you? Qin Batian shook his head. At this moment, Emperor Hong and the others finally noticed Yi Zhong. In fact, they had seen them before, but they only thought that they were Qin Baishan's subordinates. But looking at it now, it didn't seem right. He was actually so polite. Emperor Hong looked at Qin Batian and asked suspiciously, Father, this is? I haven't had the chance to introduce him yet. This is Yi Zhong. He's a famous figure in the ancient realm. This time, we invited him to visit the great Qin Empire. Furthermore, he has another identity. Qin Badian smiled mysteriously and kept them in suspense. What identity? Everyone was surprised. Qin Badian smiled and said, he is Fei Yang's master. Fei Yang's master. Everyone's heart trembled. They were very clear about Qin Fei Yang's strength. It was not an ordinary strength. But this old man was actually Qin Fei Yang's master? Then how terrifying was his strength? It can be said that in the current ancient realm, he can be considered one of the strongest. Qin Badian said with a smile. One of the strongest. Everyone was shocked and hurriedly bowed, saying, Greetings, old Senior Yi. Including Emperor Hong and Emperor Chen. Not to mention this person's strength, just saying that he was Qin Fei Yang's master was enough to treat him as an esteemed guest. You're welcome. Yi Zhong waved his hand and smiled, and said, Don't listen to Qin Baishan's nonsense. This old man is just an ordinary person. Old Senior is too modest. Emperor Hong shook his head and smiled. To be able to become Qin Fei Yang's master, how could he be an ordinary person? Moreover, with Qin Fei Yang's eyesight, he would not take an ordinary person seriously, let alone acknowledge him as his master. And, Qin Badian pointed to Yi Cheng and the other two and said with a smile, he is Yi Cheng, brother Ye's younger brother, and she is Yi Shui, brother Ye's granddaughter, and this old man is brother Ye's father. Shui, greets uncle, auntie, uncles, grandfather. Yi Shui, bowed to everyone. You're welcome, Lu Qiuyu waved her hand. She was really a sensible and well-behaved little girl, and said with a smile, in the future, treat this as your own home. Don't be reserved. Okay, auntie. Yi Shui, smiled sweetly. White-eyed Wolf muttered, Little Qin Zi, this little girl is too honest now. This was not Yi Shui's character. It's a little abnormal. Qin Fei Yang secretly nodded. At this moment, Lu Qiuyu walked in front of the mermaid princess, grabbed the mermaid princess's hand, and said with a smile, Girl, you must have suffered with Fei Yang all these years. No. The mermaid princess shook her head. Lu Qiuyu smiled slightly, then looked at Zhao Tailai and the others, and said with a smile, No matter what, it's good that you're back. A smile appeared on everyone's face. Lu Qiuyu looked outside, then looked at everyone, and said with a smile, It's only evening. I'll go tell the imperial kitchen to prepare some food and wine for you all to have a good gathering. I'll go too. The emperor stood up and said. Lu Qiuyu said, Don't you want to stay with everyone? Fei Yang and the others will accompany me. The emperor smiled, looked at Qin Fei Yang, and said, Treat everyone well. Okay. Qin Fei Yang nodded, and there was a trace of suspicion in his eyes. What was wrong with his father? As the master of the imperial palace, why didn't he stay to accompany them? What's wrong with you? When the couple walked out of the Qiuyu pavilion, Lu Qiuyu also looked at the emperor suspiciously. This time I brought back so many powerhouses, the pressure is a bit too much. Let me take a break first. The emperor said. Lu Qiuyu was stunned, and then she laughed. Laugh all you want. The emperor pursed his lips, and said in a low voice, Say, how strong is Fei Yang's master? How would I know? But seeing how the two old ancestors are so polite, he must be extraordinary. Lu Qiuyu said. The emperor shook his head, and said with a smile, Our child is capable. Of course, who gave birth to him? Lu Qiuyu said proudly. The emperor said, Then it's my share. What does it have to do with you? Fei Yang came from my stomach. Lu Qiuyu said. The emperor looked around, and seeing that there was no one around, he laughed and said, Then if I don't sow seeds, would you be able to conceive him? What nonsense are you talking about? Lu Qiuyu's cheeks turned red, and she glared at the man in front of her. The older he got, the more indecent he became. In the hall, the two maids kept bringing chairs, and everyone took their seats one after another. The big black wolf and other fierce beasts turned into palm-sized beasts, either lying on Qin Feiyang's legs or lying on Qin Feiyang's shoulders. The five-clawed golden dragon transformed into a human form and sat with Zhao Tailai and the others. Qin Feiyang took a sip of tea, looked at Lu Zhengyang, and asked with a smile, "Do you want to inform the Lu family?" Lu Zhengyang waved his hand and said with a smile, "No need, I'll go to the Lu family tomorrow to take a look. Then I'll go together and see the Lu family's descendant." Qin Batian said with a smile. Emperor Hong said, "Then father, tell us about the ancient world now." The ancient world. It's a place full of opportunities, but also full of danger, Qin Batian slowly explained. Everyone was fascinated. Qin Haotian looked at everyone and said, "Big brother, let's go out and talk." Qin Feiyang was slightly taken aback, looked at Qin Haotian, and nodded. Then the two got up, walked to the pavilion outside, and sat opposite each other. "Tea or wine?" Qin Haotian asked. "Wine." Qin Feiyang smiled slightly. "N?" Qin Haotian looked at Qin Feiyang in surprise. Qin Feiyang said with a smile, "Brothers are reunited, of course we have to drink, right?" "Okay." Qin Haotian nodded and took out a wine jar and 2 wine cups from his Cosmos bag. As he poured the wine, he said, "I thought that it would be another few hundred years or even longer before you could return after you left." Qin Feiyang said with a smile, "Things went smoothly beyond my imagination." "Then this time, you won't leave again." Qin Haotian pushed the wine cup in front of Qin Feiyang. "What's wrong? You want to unload the burden so soon?" Qin Feiyang held the wine cup, took a sip, and said with a smile. "You don't know, but I've been following my father for more than 10 years, learning how to deal with the state affairs. It's really annoying." Qin Haotian shook his head and sighed, then raised his head and drank the wine in the cup. "You've only just arrived, and you're already annoyed. When you succeed the throne in the future, won't you complain all day long?" Qin Feiyang was speechless. "I really didn't think of that. I was looking forward to you coming back sooner. Now that you're back, it's better for you to do it." Qin Haotian said. Qin Feiyang murmured, looked up at the night sky, and a cold light gradually appeared in his eyes. "What's wrong? The matter of the ancient world hasn't been settled yet?" Qin Haotian was suspicious. "The matter of the ancient world has been settled, but there's a new battle waiting for me. And it's more dangerous than the ancient world." Qin Feiyang retracted his gaze and said with a faint smile. "Again? You're not done, right?" Qin Haotian frowned. "Who doesn't want to live a normal life? But you also know that most of the time, we don't have a choice. Just like when you succeed the throne, you have to do it even if you don't want to." Qin Feiyang sighed. "So, this time you're back, you're only staying for a few days?" Qin Haotian raised his eyebrows. Prepare to choose a date to marry your sister-in-law." Qin Feiyang smiled. "Marry?" Qin Haotian was stunned. Qin Feiyang said, "After so many years, it's time to give her a status, right?" Qin Haotian looked at the attic, then looked at Qin Feiyang, and couldn't react for a while. "They're actually going to get married? What's wrong? You seem to be a little unhappy." Qin Feiyang smiled. "This is a matter between you and sister-in-law. Why would I be unhappy? It's just that it's too sudden." Qin Haotian shook his head. "Then when the time comes, you have to prepare a big gift. I don't want it if it's too light." Qin Feiyang smiled. "With your current strength and status, is there anything that can catch your eye?" Qin Haotian pursed his lips. Qin Feiyang shook his head and smiled, saying, "How is it?" Have you met a girl you fell in love with at first sight? Qin Haotian was stunned and looked a little uncomfortable, saying, I'm talking about you. Why are you talking about me? You're not young anymore. You can go find one. Qin Feiyang smiled. If you're not in a hurry, why should I be? You'd better deal with your own affairs first. Qin Haotian took a sip of wine and said indifferently. Qin Feiyang also picked up his wine glass again and said with a smile, It's really good for us brothers to sit together like this, drinking wine calmly and chatting. Hearing this, Qin Haotian's eyes couldn't help but ripple, and then he smiled at Qin Feiyang. Let's vote, brothers. Chapter 2967. You two brothers are already drinking? Lu Qiuyu and the emperor walked in hand. They looked at Qin Feiyang and Qin Haotian sitting in the pavilion and smiled. Just a little bit. Qin Feiyang smiled. Then I'll drink with you too. Qiuyu, go in and entertain everyone. The emperor patted Lu Qiuyu's shoulder and strode into the pavilion. Lu Qiuyu shook her head and followed into the pavilion. Father, why don't you go in? Qin Feiyang was puzzled. There's pressure. The emperor shook his head. What pressure? Qin Haotian took out a wine cup and poured wine while asking. The emperor said, How can there not be pressure when so many experts are gathered together? What does that have to do with anything? We're not outsiders. Qin Feiyang couldn't help but laugh. We're not outsiders, but we're not familiar with each other yet. Let me get used to it first. The emperor held the wine cup and drank it in one gulp. He looked at Qin Feiyang and said, What's your master's cultivation level? Perfection imperishable stage. Qin Feiyang said. Is he very strong? The emperor was stunned. Very strong. I'm only a half-step imperishable stage now. Let's put it this way. Master's strength is not inferior to our ancestors. He can destroy the entire Great Qin with a flick of his finger. Qin Feiyang smiled. Impressive. The emperor was speechless. There is such a huge difference between your cultivation and that of your master. Can you defeat him? Qin Haotian looked at Qin Feiyang suspiciously. Qin Feiyang was stunned and shook his head. That's going against your master. I'm just saying. What does it matter? Qin Haotian pouted. In terms of cultivation, I'm definitely not as strong as master. But if I use all my means, I should be able to defeat him. Qin Feiyang smiled. Qin Haotian was surprised. Then you can be called the strongest person in the ancient world? I wouldn't dare. Qin Feiyang hurriedly waved his hand and said with a smile, We must be modest, understand? I really didn't realize how humble you are. Qin Haotian rolled his eyes. Qin Feiyang shook his head and smiled bitterly. To be honest, in the outside world, my strength is really nothing. For example, I have a friend called Madman. His strength is no weaker than mine. So powerful? Qin Haotian and the emperor looked at each other. Yes. When we fought the dragons, he almost single-handedly wiped out the dragons. Even those at the great perfection imperishable stage would have to make a detour when they see him. There's another young man. I don't know his name. Anyway, he's very mysterious. His strength is even more terrifying. He even dares to openly provoke the dragons. As for the dragons, I should have told you before that they are the rulers of the ancient world. Qin Feiyang smiled. Now that you mention it, the outside world is really full of experts. The emperor shook his head. So, we can't be complacent. We must keep a low profile and be humble. After all, there's always a higher mountain. However, you don't have to worry. No matter how chaotic the outside world is, it won't affect the Great Qin. Qin Feiyang smiled. We're not worried about ourselves, but about you. We were afraid that something would happen to you outside. But now that you're back, everything is in the past. From now on, our family will live peacefully like this." The emperor smiled. Qin Haotian pursed his lips and said, "Father, big brother, cough. Qin Feiyang coughed dryly and interrupted Qin Haotian. "What?" The emperor looked at Qin Haotian suspiciously. Qin Haotian glanced at Qin Feiyang and then looked at the emperor with a smile. "Nothing. I just wanted to say that big brother is getting married." He originally thought that Qin Feiyang would leave, but it seemed that Qin Feiyang didn't want him to say it. "Get married?" The emperor was slightly taken aback. He looked at Qin Feiyang and asked, "Really?" "I do plan to." Qin Feiyang nodded and smiled. "This is a good thing. You're finally enlightened. Good. Tomorrow, I'll go find someone and choose an auspicious day to go to the Sea of Despair to propose marriage to the Mermaid Emperor." The emperor was overjoyed. If there was one thing he was most concerned about, it would undoubtedly be Qin Feiyang's marriage. "Father, don't be anxious. I haven't asked her yet," Qin Feiyang said. Has followed you for so many years. What does she want from you? Doesn't she just want to be with you? There's no need to ask. She'll definitely agree." The emperor waved his hand. "It's better to ask. After all, it's a matter between two people." Qin Feiyang smiled. Unable to dissuade Qin Feiyang, he could only agree. The emperor nodded and said, Okay. Hurry up and find a time to have a good chat with her. We'll settle it for her as soon as possible." "Father, why do I feel that you're more anxious than big brother?" Qin Haotian looked at the emperor jokingly. "Of course I'm anxious. How old are they? Look at Ling Yunfei and the others. Their children are already running around. Only your big brother doesn't seem to be anxious all day long. And, don't just talk about your big brother. You should also work harder." The emperor glared at Qin Haotian. "Why should I work harder?" Qin Haotian shook his head. "You're not young anymore. It's time to think about it. But let me tell you, finding a wife is the most important thing in life. You must choose carefully." The emperor said. "Got it." Qin Haotian waved his hand impatiently. "You're still impatient? Let me tell you, this woman must be virtuous, well-educated, and sensible. Especially the relationship between family members. This woman is very important. For example, those narrow-minded and selfish women. If you marry them, it will affect the harmony of the family. I will absolutely not allow this kind of thing to happen. Because we are a family, so we must live in harmony." The emperor said. Yes. Qin Haotian nodded repeatedly. They shouldn't have discussed this. The emperor suddenly looked at Qin Feiyang and asked, "Feiyang, that girl called Yi Shui, what's her character like?" "Yi Shui, Qin Feiyang was stunned. He glanced at Qin Haotian and mocked, "Father, are you trying to pull strings to build a bridge? Don't let the goodies flow into the fields of outsiders." The emperor chuckled softly. Qin Haotian raised his eyebrows and said angrily, "Father, you're going too far. Don't talk about wind or rain, okay? She's a guest and a big shot in the ancient world. Why would she take a fancy to people from a small place like ours? What about a small place? Our Qin clan is not bad either. Look at your brother and your ancestors. They're not the same. They're all famous big shots." The emperor said. "Enough. I don't have such thoughts now. Besides, can't you see that she's interested in big brother?" Qin Haotian was helpless. The emperor was stunned. Qin Feiyang was also stunned. He looked at Qin Haotian unhappily and said, what nonsense are you talking about? You're really hopeless. I knew something was wrong when I saw the way Yi Shui looked at you. You've known her for so long, but you didn't notice it at all? Qin Haotian shook his head. What way? Qin Feiyang was suspicious. The way she looks at you with admiration. Qin Haotian rolled his eyes. Qin Feiyang was stunned. No way, why didn't I see it? The emperor also looked suspicious. Sigh. Qin Haotian shook his head and sighed. Why are you sighing? The emperor frowned. There's an old saying that's true. Like father, like son. You're hopeless. Qin Haotian shook his head. Qin Feiyang and the emperor looked at each other and suddenly got up and said angrily, You brat, are you looking for a beating? Qin Haotian was also prepared. He grinned and immediately got up to slip away. Brat. The emperor laughed and then looked at Qin Feiyang and said, If that's the case, then you can consider it. Consider what? Qin Feiyang was suspicious. Your brother is right. You're hopeless. The emperor glared at Qin Feiyang angrily and also got up and walked to the attic with his hands behind his back. Who did I offend? Qin Feiyang was speechless. Then, while drinking, he looked up at the night sky and recalled the scene when he was with Yi Shui. Was there? The efficiency of the imperial kitchen was quite good. In less than an hour, several large tables of delicacies were delivered to them. Everyone sat and drank until the wee hours of the morning. Then, Lu Qiuyu arranged a place for everyone to stay. As a dignified imperial palace, there were countless palaces. No matter how many people came, they would all stay. Qin Batian, Lu Zhengyang, Qin Yuan, and Yi Zhong followed Emperor Hong and Emperor Chen to the back mountain of the imperial palace. Not bad. Grandpa Hong, Grandpa Chen, you really know how to enjoy yourself. Yi Shui looked around and giggled. Emperor Hong chuckled and said, If you like it, you can stay here in the future. Yi Shui said, Then it's a deal, don't find me annoying in the future. No, no. We're happy to have more people to talk to. Emperor Hong laughed. What is this? Suddenly, Yi Shui looked at the stone platform in the middle of the lake. There were a few statues on the stone platform. Qin Batian, Lu Zhengyang, Yi Zhong, Yi Cheng, and Old Man Yi also looked over suspiciously. This is the place of inheritance that Feiyang created for our Qin clan. Emperor Hong smiled. Place of inheritance? The few of them were stunned. Yes. All the skills he mastered were left here. And here, there is his blood essence. This is specially left for the future descendants of our Qin clan. The reason why Haotian's bloodline could revert to its ancestor is because he received Feiyang's inheritance. Emperor Hong smiled slightly. It's really hard on him. Compared to what he has done, my Qin clan's ancestor is really not worth mentioning. Qin Batian shook his head and sighed. You have also done a lot for our Qin clan. Do you still remember the inheritance you left in the Merfolk clan and the drop of blood essence in the Imperial Jade Seal? Emperor Hong asked. Qin Batian nodded. It was because of your inheritance and that drop of blood essence that Feiyang's bloodline reverted to its ancestor. Emperor Hong said. All of this is destined by the heavens. Qin Batian chuckled, then turned to look at Yi Zhong and asked with a smile, Brother Yi, are you used to it? Cultivators like us, aren't we the same wherever we go? Yi Zhong smiled slightly. That's good. If you need anything in the future, just let me know. Qin Batian said. I won't be polite with you. Yi Zhong smiled. Then let's rest. Tomorrow, I'll take you around. Qin Batian said. Okay. Yi Zhong nodded. Chapter 2968. At the same time. In the pavilion of the House of Autumn Rain. A man and a woman snuggled together, looking at the full moon in the night sky. It was very warm. Fei Yang, it feels good to be home. That's right. The two of them were Qin Fei Yang and the mermaid princess. Yes. I really don't want to leave. Qin Fei Yang smiled and nodded. I don't want to leave, the mermaid princess pondered for a while and said, then why don't you let it go? Let it go, Qin Fei Yang murmured and sighed. Chang Shui, mermaid emperor, black-winged emperor, sword emperor, white-winged emperor, big cousin, inner demons. How can I let go of all of them? The mermaid princess fell silent. Qin Fei Yang looked down at the woman in his arms and asked, You're persuading me to let it go, but can you let it go yourself? The mermaid princess' expression stiffened and she shook her head. The mermaid emperor, black-winged emperor, and white-winged emperor were her ancestors. How could she let it go? Qin Fei Yang comforted her. Don't worry, I will definitely find them. Okay. The mermaid princess nodded. The two ancestors didn't mention these things. Obviously, they didn't want father and grandfather to know. So, we have to be careful when we talk in the future. Don't let it slip. Qin Fei Yang said. I know. The mermaid princess replied. Qin Fei Yang smiled and said, There's one more thing I want to discuss with you. What is it? The mermaid princess was stunned. Qin Fei Yang hugged the mermaid princess tightly and whispered, Let's get married. The mermaid princess' body trembled. I've really let you down all these years. You've been living in fear and wandering around with me. I really don't know how to make it up to you. You also know that I'm a very dull person. I don't know how to sweet talk. But I promise that for the rest of my life, I will take good care of you, protect you, and make sure that you will never be sad or cry again. Qin Fei Yang muttered. The mermaid princess couldn't help but tear up. She had been waiting for this moment for a very long time. Sometimes, she even wanted to bring it up. However, she knew that Qin Fei Yang was an ambitious and responsible man, so she didn't say anything and just quietly accompanied him. And now, Qin Fei Yang had taken the initiative to speak. How could she not be happy? Will you marry me? Qin Fei Yang lowered his head and looked into the eyes of the mermaid princess. Looking at Qin Fei Yang's affectionate eyes, the mermaid princess's heart was beating wildly, and she couldn't calm down for a while. Qin Fei Yang's heart skipped a beat. Was she going to reject him? His heart was in a state of panic. Yes, I know. If you marry me, you will definitely be afraid in the future. After all, I still have to go to the 4th floor. But I swear that I will protect you with my life. Whoever dares to bully you, I will kill them. Qin Fei Yang roared. Lower your voice, don't startle everyone. The mermaid princess quickly covered Qin Fei Yang's mouth and looked around. Seeing that no one was paying attention, she was relieved. Don't be afraid. Qin Fei Yang shook his head, grabbed the hands of the mermaid princess, and said, Marry me, I believe. No, I believe that I have the ability to take good care of you. Looking at Qin Fei Yang's expectant eyes, the mermaid princess turned her head and leaned on the stone table, holding her chin with both hands. I'll think about it. What's there to think about? Qin Fei Yang was anxious. The mermaid princess said without turning her head, Of course I have to think about it. But, Qin Fei Yang was really anxious. Looking at the side of the mermaid princess's face, for a moment, he was at a loss and didn't know what to do. The mermaid princess chuckled, lowered her head, and said with a red face, Silly, why would I refuse? Qin Fei Yang was stunned, and then his spirit was lifted. Then you agree? What else? The mermaid princess rolled her eyes at him. Qin Fei Yang suddenly cheered, picked up the mermaid princess, and spun around in the pavilion. "What are you doing? Put me down, don't startle everyone." The mermaid princess struggled and said, "No. If mother and the others see it, they will be happier than me." Qin Feiyang laughed. "Why are you like a child?" The mermaid princess shook her head helplessly and said, "Put me down, I have something to say." "Yes, madam." Qin Feiyang grinned and gently put the mermaid princess down. The two continued to sit at the stone table. The mermaid princess suspiciously asked, "Why do you suddenly want to get married? You are so beautiful and gentle, I have to tie you up early, otherwise what if you run away with someone else?" Qin Feiyang laughed. "Really?" The mermaid princess looked at him suspiciously. "Of course it's true. If you run away with someone else, I will regret it for the rest of my life." Qin Feiyang nodded. "At least you have a conscience." The mermaid princess snuggled in Qin Feiyang's arms again and said, "I don't object to marriage, but you have to think about it. When a man has a family, there are more things to worry about. Your enemy is no longer the dragons, but the ice dragon, the small beast, and the countless powerhouses on the fourth floor. When facing them, even the slightest hesitation will make you regret it for the rest of your life." "I know." Qin Feiyang nodded. "So?" the mermaid princess asked. Qin Feiyang smiled and said, "Let's get married first and have children in the future. If we don't have children, there won't be so many worries." "Who wants to have children with you?" The mermaid princess's cheeks suddenly burned. Qin Feiyang said suspiciously, "If you don't have children with me, who will?" "Some women. Look at Sister Shengwan, Sister Yu, and Yi. Which one of them isn't infatuated with you? Also, Shui, is also interested in you." The mermaid princess said. Qin Feiyang was stunned. "Only a fool like you can't see it." The mermaid princess shook her head. Qin Feiyang hurriedly said, "But you know, I only have you in my heart." "I know. However, I really don't object to you marrying home." The mermaid princess said with a smile. "Are you testing me?" Qin Feiyang frowned. "Am I in the mood?" "I'm telling the truth." The princess of the human race was helpless. "But Shengwan Fenglan told me that all women in the world actually want a complete relationship." Qin Feiyang said. "Then you can treat me as an exception." "Actually, if it were other women, would definitely not agree. If you dare to take the initiative to provoke them, I will hate you for the rest of my life. However, Shengwan Qiu and the rest are different. For you, they have sacrificed too much. Not to mention others, even I am touched. The most important thing is that I get along with them, so I don't mind. Didn't great-grandpa and grandpa always say that the Qin family has too few descendants? They even forced uncle and auntie to keep having children. This is an opportunity. As long as you marry Sister Shengwan and the rest, won't you have a lot of children and grandchildren in the future?" The mermaid princess said. Qin Feiyang smiled bitterly, rubbed the mermaid princess' head, and said, "You are really a silly girl. I know so many women, but you are the only one who pushed your man into the arms of other women. Silly people have silly luck." The mermaid princess giggled. "Silly luck? I think you are just silly. Alright, in this life, I only have you in my heart, and it will be the same in the next life. In the next life after that, I will still pester you. So, don't think about running away." Qin Feiyang hugged the mermaid princess' slender waist tightly and said affectionately. The mermaid princess looked up at Qin Feiyang and said, "Really?" "Yes." Qin Feiyang nodded and looked at the mermaid princess's cheeks and red lips. For a moment, there was a different kind of restlessness in his heart. He said in a low voice, "How about we enter the bridal chamber tonight?" "Dirty." The mermaid princess immediately began to struggle. But Qin Feiyang hugged her tightly and couldn't break free. Then she gave up and let Qin Feiyang do whatever he wanted. Be gentle, it hurts. I'm very gentle, okay? Come here for a while. Yes, 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 here. Is it comfortable? Yes, it's comfortable. In front of the attic. Lu Qiuyu looked at the pavilion suspiciously and said, "What are these two children doing? A man and a woman alone, what else can they do?" The emperor walked over, looked at the pavilion in the night, and smiled. Hearing this, Lu Qiuyu's cheeks turned slightly red. "Let's go, don't look, don't disturb them." The emperor dragged Lu Qiuyu to the second floor. In fact, the two of them didn't do anything. Qin Feiyang was purely massaging the mermaid princess. The next day, early morning. On the second floor, in a room. The mermaid princess woke up and found that Qin Feiyang had been holding her tightly. Her heart couldn't help but be filled with happiness. Hearing a sound in the backyard, she knew that Lu Qiuyu was making breakfast, so she gently pulled away Qin Feiyang's hand and prepared to get up. Sleep a little longer. Qin Feiyang suddenly pulled her back again. You're awake? The mermaid princess was stunned. No. Qin Feiyang shook his head, his eyes still closed. You're not awake, are you talking in your sleep? The mermaid princess rolled her eyes and said, Let go of me, I'll help Auntie cook. No need to help, mother can do it alone. Sleep a little longer. Qin Feiyang hugged the mermaid princess and didn't let go. The mermaid princess shook her head helplessly. After dawdling for a long time, the two of them finally got up. Qin Feiyang stretched and said, I slept so well. The mermaid princess tidied up her clothes and said, You slept well, but I was tortured by you. How did I torture you? Qin Feiyang was stunned and looked at her suspiciously. After being together for so many years, I only just realized that you snore when you sleep. It's so noisy that I can't sleep well all night. The mermaid princess stared at Qin Feiyang snappily. Snore? Why don't I know? Qin Feiyang was stunned. Which person who snores would know that he snores? The mermaid princess rolled her eyes. That's probably because I'm tired. Qin Feiyang smiled embarrassedly. All right, hurry up, go downstairs and wash up. The mermaid princess took Qin Feiyang's clothes from the hanger and threw them to Qin Feiyang. Then she opened the door and walked out. Do I really snore? Qin Feiyang took the clothes and looked at the mermaid princess and mumbled. Chapter 2969. In the hall. On the dining table, there were already more than a dozen delicious dishes neatly arranged. Lu Qiuyu was busy, but her face was full of smiles. Aunt. Mermaid princess went downstairs. Lu Qiuyu smiled and said, You're awake, did you sleep well last night? Listen well. Mermaid princess nodded and said apologetically, I originally wanted to get up and help, but Feiyang, no need to explain, no need to explain. Aunt is experienced, I understand. Lu Qiuyu hurriedly waved her hand. Aunt, it's not, Mermaid Princess hurriedly said, but before she could finish, Lu Qiuyu returned to the backyard. It's not what you think. Mermaid Princess shook her head and went into the bathroom. Soon. Lu Qiuyu came back with 2 bowls of millet porridge. Mermaid Princess had also finished washing up. She walked to the table, smelled it, and said with a smile, It smells good. It smells good. Eat more later. Lu Qiuyu smiled. Yes, Aunt. Mermaid Princess nodded and giggled. Lu Qiuyu rubbed Mermaid Princess's head and turned to enter the backyard. Wait. Suddenly. Lu Qiuyu turned to look at Mermaid Princess and said, Girl, shouldn't you change your way of addressing me? Ah. Mermaid Princess looked at the table full of side dishes and couldn't help but want to steal some. Suddenly, she heard Lu Qiuyu's voice and was startled. She quickly retracted her hand and looked at Lu Qiuyu. As for Lu Qiuyu's words, she didn't hear it clearly. Forget it if you didn't hear it. Lu Qiuyu shook her head. Mermaid Princess scratched her head and asked, Auntie, did Fei Yang snore when he was young? Snore? Lu Qiuyu was startled, and shook her head. No, he sleeps very quietly. Really? Mermaid Princess asked. Yes. Lu Qiuyu nodded, and then returned to the backyard. Aunt, I'll help you. The Mermaid Princess ran in as well. At this moment, Qin Feiyang also walked down lazily. Duh. Meanwhile, following a series of steady footsteps, the Emperor walked in wearing a dragon robe and a dragon crown. Father, good morning. Qin Feiyang reached out his hand to say hello and then walked towards the bathroom. Early? The Emperor was slightly stunned. He turned to look at the sun outside and frowned. You brat, don't tell me you just woke up now. Yes. Qin Feiyang nodded. He looked back at the Emperor and asked, What's wrong? I've already returned from morning court and you're only up now? You're really good at sleeping. Di Wang said. Haven't you slept for a long time? Qin Feiyang laughed dryly. The Emperor rolled his eyes and smiled ambiguously. First time, I understand. After saying that, he went upstairs. First time? Understand? What the hell? Qin Feiyang scratched his head in confusion, then turned around and entered the bathroom. A moment later, Lu Qiuyu and the Mermaid Princess came out from the backyard. The Emperor had also changed into ordinary clothes. It's time to eat. Lu Qiuyu smiled. Qin Feiyang walked out of the bathroom, looking a lot more energetic. Where are the others? Seeing that there was only his family, Qin Feiyang asked suspiciously. Lu Qiuyu said, Your master, your grandfather, and great-grandfather all followed the two ancestors to the Lu family. Qin Feiyang said, What about the white-eyed wolf and the others? The white-eyed wolf took a group of fierce beasts and left early in the morning. I don't know where they went. Lu Qiuyu shook her head. Qin Feiyang was stunned and asked again, What about Zhao Tailai and those divine generals? Lu Qiuyu said, They all went out early. Qin Feiyang said in astonishment, So you're saying that we're the only ones who just woke up? You just found out. Lu Qiuyu rolled her eyes at Qin Feiyang, but her hands kept picking up food for the Mermaid Princess and said with a smile, Girl, eat more. Okay. Auntie, the food you cook is so delicious. The Mermaid Princess giggled. Lu Qiuyu smiled and said, We will be a family from now on. I will cook for you every day. How can that be? You have worked hard all your life. It's time for me and Feiyang to take care of you and uncle. Mermaid Princess hurriedly said. We don't need you to take care of us. You just need to eat. If you really want to thank us, then give us a few fat boys as soon as possible. Lu Qiuyu smiled. Mermaid Princess suddenly blushed, lowered her head, and ate silently. Mother, did I snore when I was young? Qin Feiyang suddenly looked up at Lu Qiuyu and asked. Snore? Lu Qiuyu was stunned. She looked at Qin Feiyang, and then looked at the Mermaid Princess with a strange expression. You didn't snore when you were young. The Emperor said. Did you hear that? I don't snore, so I must be too tired. Qin Feiyang looked at the Mermaid Princess and smiled proudly. Such a big table of food, can't you stuff your mouth? Mermaid Princess stared at Qin Feiyang. The Emperor looked at Mermaid Princess and said with a smile, Girl, you should change the way you address me. Change the way I address you? Mermaid Princess was stunned. Yeah, you already have Feiyang. Just as the Emperor said this, he felt a cold gaze. He looked up at Lu Qiuyu. Eat your food, you talk too much. Lu Qiuyu stared at the emperor. The emperor smiled embarrassedly. Mermaid Princess looked at the two and asked, Auntie, Uncle, did you misunderstand something? It's okay, it's okay. The era is more open now. Moreover, you are both young people. It's understandable. We're not so old-fashioned. Lu Qiuyu smiled. Auntie, you really misunderstood. Feiyang and I just slept together. We didn't do anything. Mermaid Princess hurriedly explained. Don't be shy, it's okay. Eat quickly, eat quickly. Nourish your body. Lu Qiuyu waved her hand. Auntie, Mermaid Princess looked anxious. Suddenly, she found Qin Feiyang, who was sitting at the side, secretly laughing. She glared at him and said angrily, You're too much. It's fine if you don't help me explain, but you're actually laughing? You already said that we slept together last night. How can I explain it clearly? Qin Feiyang said. Mermaid Princess said anxiously, but last night, we really didn't do anything. If it's you, would you believe it? Besides, I'm a normal man. A normal man hugging a beautiful woman like you to sleep and didn't do anything? Who do you think will believe it? Qin Feiyang secretly said. You, Mermaid Princess was extremely angry. But suddenly, she rolled her eyes and said telepathically, So you're saying that you're not normal? What's wrong with me? Qin Feiyang was suspicious. Because you really didn't do anything to me last night. Doesn't that mean that you're not normal? Mermaid Princess joked. Qin Feiyang looked at Mermaid Princess in shock. This girl actually turned against him? Okay. Let's go in again and see if I'm normal or not. Qin Feiyang secretly laughed. Damn hooligan. Mermaid Princess blushed and secretly cursed. Lu Qiuyu looked up at the two of them and asked suspiciously, What are you mumbling about? Hurry up and eat. Okay, okay, okay. The two of them nodded repeatedly. It's better to come at the right time than early. Suddenly, a hearty laugh sounded outside the door. The family looked up and saw a familiar figure standing outside the door. Ling Yunfei? Qin Feiyang was stunned. Why? You're not welcome. Ling Yunfei laughed and directly entered the house. Welcome. Qin Feiyang got up and greeted him. After the two brothers gave each other a bear hug, Qin Feiyang looked behind and asked, Where's your wife and daughter? Women are troublesome. They have to dress up before going out. I couldn't wait any longer, so I came first. Ling Yunfei shook his head, patted Qin Feiyang, and asked, How is it? Is the matter in the ancient world going smoothly? If not, would I be back so soon? Qin Feiyang smiled. It's been more than 10 years. How is it soon? Ling Yunfei shook his head, walked to the emperor and Lu Qiuyu, and said with a smile, Auntie, Uncle. Have you eaten? If not, I'll get you a bowl and chopsticks. Lu Qiuyu smiled. No need to trouble yourself. I've already eaten. Ling Yunfei smiled slightly, looked at Mermaid Princess, and said in surprise, Isn't this little fishy? Long time no see. Do you miss your brother? Miss you my ass. Mermaid Princess rolled her eyes. Heartless. Ling Yunfei shook his head, looked at Qin Feiyang, and said, Your wife should be disciplined more, or she'll go to heaven sooner or later. You're a henpecked man. Are you qualified to say that? Qin Feiyang despised and walked to the table to continue eating. What do you mean by that? I'm a henpecked man. I just don't want to bicker with a woman. If I really go crazy, Ling Yunfei was speaking with a smile of exultation, but the complexions of Qin Feiyang and the others had become strange. Because at this time, 3 more people came in. These three people were Zhao Shuang'er, Lu Ji, and a girl. Zhao Shuang'er made a gesture to Qin Feiyang and the others to keep quiet. She quietly walked behind Ling Yunfei with Lu Ji and the girl. Qin Feiyang's face suddenly became playful. He looked at Ling Yunfei and said, "What if I go crazy?" Ling Yunfei didn't notice Zhao Shuang'er behind him and said, "If I go crazy, that woman surnamed Zhao will have to lie down obediently immediately." Really? Qin Feiyang looked surprised. Ling Yunfei frowned and said, "Are you doubting my words?" "No, no, you're good. Take care, young man." Qin Feiyang gave him a thumbs up and then went back to eating. Take care? Ling Yunfei was stunned. What did she mean? Ling! Suddenly, Zhao Shuang'er shouted. Ling Yunfei's eyes suddenly trembled. When did this woman come? Qin Feiyang and the mermaid princess couldn't help but laugh. The emperor couple also couldn't help but laugh. Lu Ji had no intention of persuading him. The girl was even more direct, gloating. Ling Yunfei slowly turned around and looked at Zhao Shuang'er behind him. His face suddenly turned pale. Zhao Shuang'er's slender arm directly raised and pulled Ling Yunfei's ear. "Wife, listen to me," Ling Yunfei hurriedly cried. "Explain?" Zhao Shuang'er sneered and said, "Aren't you very impressive? What's there to explain? Come, 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 go crazy. Let's see if I'll lie on the ground or not." "No, no, I'm just joking, even if I ate a leopard's gall, I wouldn't dare to go crazy on you." "Ouch, ouch, ouch. Let go of me. In front of my brothers, leave me some face, okay?" Ling Yunfei wailed and begged for mercy. This was going to be big. Chapter 4, Please vote. Chapter 2971. You want face, but I don't. Zhao Shuang'er was like a mad tiger. She exerted more strength in her hand, and Ling Yunfei's ear was about to be pulled off. I'm sorry, my dear wife, when we go back, I'll kneel on the washboard. What do you think? Backbone? That was no longer important. Saving his life was more important. If this tigress was really angry, he would not have a good life in the future. You said kneel on the washboard. I didn't force you. Zhao Shuang said. No, no, I'm willing. Ling Yunfei nodded repeatedly. Humph. Zhao Shuang snorted coldly and let go of her evil claws. Looking at the emperor and Lu Qiuyu, she bowed and said, Shuang greets uncle and auntie. Grandpa Emperor, Grandma Emperor Empress. The girl also ran to the emperor and his wife. Smelling the dishes on the table, she smiled and said, It smells so good. Have you eaten, Yan? Lu Qiuyu put down the bowl and chopsticks, rubbed the girl's head, and smiled. Yes, I have. The girl nodded, then looked at Qin Feiyang and said, Uncle Qin, do you still remember me? Qin Feiyang looked at the girl. I'm Yan. We met when we were young in Iron Ox Town. You even gave me this bead. The girl took out a bead that shone with divine light. Soul-anchoring divine bead? Qin Feiyang was stunned, then looked at the girl and said, You've grown so big. That's right. This girl was Ling Yunfei and Zhao Shuang'er's daughter. How old was she back then? A little girl, after more than 10 years, had grown into a slender and elegant young woman. You must be my aunt. The girl looked at the mermaid princess. The mermaid princess's cheeks blushed. Yes. Qin Feiyang nodded. Aunt is really beautiful. Uncle Qin, you have to look after her carefully. Don't let others take her away. The girl giggled. You lass. Qin Feiyang gently knocked on the girl's head, then looked at Lu Ji and Zhao Shuang'er, and said with a smile, Auntie, Shuang'er, go sit in the living room first. I'll come out in a moment. There's no rush. Take your time. We're not treating ourselves as outsiders here. Lu Ji said with a kind smile. That's how it should be. Be casual. Qin Feiyang laughed. Lu Ji and Zhao Shuang'er brought the girl to the living room. Bastard, you've killed me. As soon as the three of them left, Ling Yunfei glared at Qin Feiyang. Blame me? Qin Feiyang was stunned. Who should I blame if not you? Ling Yunfei rubbed his red ears and grimaced. Serves you right. Qin Feiyang looked at Ling Yunfei with disdain and continued to eat. After a while, Qin Feiyang put down the bowl and chopsticks, stretched his body in satisfaction, and then got up and walked to the living room. Zhao Shuang had already made tea. Qin Feiyang sat next to Ling Yunfei, holding the teacup, took a sip, and looked at Lu Ji and said, Auntie is getting younger and younger now. Younger? Lu Ji shook her head and said with a smile, You're the only one who's nice to hear. That's right. Look, when you stand together with Shuang, people who don't know would think that you're her sister. Qin Feiyang said. Hee. Lu Ji smiled, shook her head, and said with a smile, Kid, when did your mouth become so sweet? Huh. Qin Feiyang smiled, looked at the family in front of him, and asked, Have you been well these years? What's good about us? We don't have to worry about food and clothing. But you're back so soon. Have you settled the matter of the ancient world? Zhao Shuang said. Yes. Qin Feiyang nodded. Then you won't leave in the future? Ling Yunfei asked. Qin Feiyang hesitated, and said with a smile, We'll talk about it when the time comes. Ling Yunfei and Zhao Shuang'er looked at each other, and their hearts couldn't help but tremble. Although Qin Feiyang tried his best to hide it, as friends of Qin Feiyang for many years, they could clearly see the trace of sadness between Qin Feiyang's brows that was difficult to hide. It seemed that something bad had happened again. However, if Qin Feiyang didn't say it, they wouldn't force it. The girl played with the soul calming pearl and said, Uncle Qin, your soul calming pearl is very powerful. Is that so? Qin Feiyang asked with a smile. Yes. The girl nodded and said, Once, I went out and met a few bad people who wanted to kill me for money. One of them even wanted to destroy my soul. In the end, the soul calming pearl appeared and not only protected my soul, but also killed them all. That's natural. This soul calming pearl is a supreme divine artifact. Although it doesn't have any lethality, just a wisp of divine power is not something that ordinary people can withstand. Qin Feiyang said with a smile. Then Uncle Qin, you gave me the soul calming pearl. What will you use to protect my soul? Why don't I return it to you? The girl said. Qin Feiyang was stunned, then looked at Ling Yunfei and his wife, and said with a smile, You girls are quite filial. Don't you know who taught you? This is a must. Ling Yunfei smiled proudly. Look at how proud you are. Qin Feiyang shook his head and looked at the girl. Uncle Qin doesn't need it anymore. Why? The girl was puzzled. Don't you understand? Your Uncle Qin is too strong. No one can hurt him. Zhao Shuang said with a smile. Really? The girl was surprised. Of course it's true. Your Uncle Qin is the strongest person in our great Qin. Zhao Shuang said. The girl put away the soul calming pearl and looked at Qin Feiyang excitedly, and said eagerly, Uncle Qin, why don't you have a competition with me? Qin Feiyang was stunned. Don't be rude. What did mother teach you? A girl should be educated and reasonable. Look at you now, you are like a violent maniac. Where is your decency? Zhao Shuang berated. Who said that a girl must be educated and reasonable? Besides, mother, aren't you the same? You bully father all the time. The girl mumbled. Ling Yunfei immediately said with snot and tears, daughter, I didn't raise you for nothing. You have a conscience, and you know that I am bullied by your mother every day. Shut up. Zhao Shuang glared at him. Ling Yunfei shrunk his neck and became obedient again. It seemed that being afraid of his wife was already deeply rooted in him. The girl looked at Qin Feiyang pleadingly, and said, Uncle Qin, just compete with me. You're still talking. Zhao Shuang said angrily. It's fine, it's fine. Qin Feiyang waved his hand at Zhao Shuang, looked at the girl and smiled, all right, Uncle Qin will compete with you, as long as you can stand under Uncle Qin's pressure for 3 breaths of time, Uncle Qin will give you another divine art. All right. The girl nodded. Lu Ji shook her head and laughed, truly a newborn calf is not afraid of a tiger. Zhao Shuang said, forget it, let her suffer a little. Qin Feiyang sized up the girl. She had the cultivation of the war emperor, not bad. Boom. At that moment, a strand of divine might appeared and pressed towards the girl. This was a strand of divine might, but even though it was only a strand, it was not something that the war emperor could withstand. Bang! There was no suspense. The girl immediately laid on the ground in a sorry state. Qin Feiyang quickly retracted his pressure, lowered his head to look at the girl, and laughed, how is it? Is this all of your strength? The girl stared blankly at Qin Feiyang. All of my strength? Qin Feiyang was startled, and laughed, maybe only 1,000th of my strength. So strong. The girl was extremely shocked. She immediately got up and looked at Qin Feiyang with a face full of admiration, and said, then Uncle Qin, please teach me how to cultivate. Me? Qin Feiyang was startled. Yes. The girl nodded. Qin Feiyang asked suspiciously, didn't your mother and father teach you? How can they compare to you, Uncle Qin? The girl said. Cough cough. Zhao Shuang and Ling Yunfei immediately coughed and stared at the girl. That's how it is. The girl muttered. Qin Feiyang looked at the girl and smiled faintly, learning from me will be very difficult. I'm not afraid. The girl shook her head. You might even die. Qin Feiyang said again. So serious? The girl was startled. Qin Feiyang nodded. I'm not afraid either. The girl hesitated for a moment and said firmly. Qin Feiyang laughed and said, all right, if there's a chance in the future, I'll bring you to a place, and I guarantee that you'll become stronger quickly. Thank you, Uncle Qin. The girl beamed with joy. Qin Feiyang rubbed the girl's head, looked at Ling Yunfei and asked, by the way, how did you know that I'm back? Brother Wolf told us. Ling Yunfei said. White-eyed wolf? Qin Feiyang was startled. Before dawn, it brought a group of berserk beasts and ran to Iron Ox Town, saying that you were back. Then we immediately rushed over. Ling Yunfei said. It really knows how to run. Qin Feiyang shook his head and asked, then where are they now? Ling Yunfei shook his head and said, I don't know, they said that they were preparing to go to Forgotten Continent for a stroll. Qin Feiyang shook his head and laughed, and said, then Old Man Ren and the others should also know that I'm back. They're in Butterfly Valley, so of course they know. They should be here soon. Ling Yunfei said. At this moment, Mermaid Princess walked out and looked at Lu Ji with a smile, hello, Auntie. Good, 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 come and sit. Lu Ji nodded repeatedly, patted the chair beside her, and smiled. Mermaid Princess walked over. Lu Ji smiled and said, child, did Feiyang bully you outside? If he bullies you, tell Auntie, Auntie will help you take care of him. No. Mermaid Princess shook her head. Xiaofan asked, "Does your father know that you're back?" "I don't know yet." Mermaid Princess said. "Then this time you're back, are you preparing to settle the marriage matter?" Ling Yunfei said. "It's time to settle it." The emperor's voice came, and the emperor strode over and said, "We've all slept together. If we don't settle it, people will gossip. Tomorrow, I will personally go to the Sea of Despair and propose marriage to the Mermaid Emperor." "What? Slept together?" Ling Yunfei looked at Qin Feiyang in shock. Cough cough. Qin Feiyang coughed dryly and looked at the emperor. "Father, can't you be more reserved? What's wrong with that?" The emperor waved his hand indifferently and said, "Back then, your mother and I, what happened back then?" Lu Qiuyu's voice rang out. The emperor's body stiffened, and he turned to look at Lu Qiuyu, who was walking over, and said with a smile, "Nothing, nothing." Qin Feiyang looked at his father, then looked at his mother, and shook his head with emotion. This was another man who was afraid of his wife. Chapter 2972. "Ha, this brat is indeed back. I can already feel his aura." Suddenly, accompanied by hoarse laughter, a group of people descended outside the pavilion. Qin Feiyang and the others looked at each other, hurriedly stood up, and walked out of the pavilion, their faces full of smiles. The people who came were Old Master Ren, Yan Nanshan and the others. "Old Master, Uncle Yan, Uncle Jiang, Aunt Shui, Aunt Yun, you're all here." Qin Feiyang laughed. Yan Nanshan said, "Since you're back, how can we not come and take a look? Then I'm quite popular." Qin Feiyang said. "Shameless, who welcomes you? We're just here to see if you're missing an arm or a leg." Feng Ling Er looked at Qin Feiyang and said. Qin Feiyang looked at Feng Ling Er, and said, "Your mouth is too vicious, you deserve to be unable to get married." Scram. Feng Ling Er's face darkened. At the side, Ren Wuxuang and Luo Qingzhu could not help but cover their mouths and snicker. "Let's talk inside." Lu Qiuyu laughed. "Then we'll be disturbing you." Old Master Ren smiled slightly. Everyone entered the living room. "Master!" Suddenly, another excited cry rang out. Qin Feiyang was startled. He raised his head and saw three figures appear in the sky. It was Wang Xiaojie, Yan Wei, and Wang Yangfeng. "Young Master." Yan Wei and Wang Yangfeng were also very excited. Qin Feiyang smiled slightly, and said, "How have you been these 10 years?" "Good, good, good." The two of them nodded. "Master, you're too mean. What did you say back then?" Qin Chen had already returned, but when I returned, I didn't see him at all. Wang Xiaojie looked at Qin Feiyang in dissatisfaction. Qin Feiyang laughed, "Isn't this for your own good? Then tell me honestly, did Qin Chen follow you to the ancient realm?" Wang Xiaojie said. "Yes." Qin Feiyang nodded. "Where is he now?" Wang Xiaojie asked. "He is in seclusion in the Black Tortoise world." Qin Feiyang smiled. "Yesterday, everyone came out except for Qin Chen. As expected, you've gone too far. I'm your disciple, okay?" Wang Xiaojie coldly snorted. "Don't I want you to stay in the clan and take good care of your sister and mother?" "How are they now?" Qin Feiyang said. "Not bad. The child in my sister's stomach has also been born. It's a boy. Now that he's grown up, he's even taller than me." Wang Xiaojie laughed. "You're an uncle now. You have to be more mature and stable. Do you understand?" Qin Feiyang said. "I know. Let me go to the Black Tortoise world to see Qin Chen. I haven't seen him in a long time. I miss him." Wang Xiaojie smiled. "Okay. Qin Feiyang nodded. With a wave of his hand, he sent Wang Xiaojie to the Black Tortoise world. Then, he looked at Yan Wei and said with a smile, "Have a seat inside." Soon. Fatso, Li Yan, Situ Feiyang, Li He, Gong Sunbei, Yi Shu, the monkey-faced old man, the hook-nosed old man, and Pei Yi arrived one after another. Everyone was familiar with each other, so they greeted each other and started chatting. In the evening, a large group of people returned. Zhao Tailai and the others, White-Eyed Wolf and the other beasts, Qin Batian, Yi Zhong, Lu Zhengyang, including Lu Zheng, Lu Hong, Li Xiaofei and his sister, the few grandpas, everyone gathered at the Autumn Rain Inn. Wang Xiaojie and Qin Chen also came out of the Black Tortoise world. This time, the Autumn Rain Inn was lively. There were people both inside and outside the inn. Everyone gathered in twos and threes, laughing and talking, forming an extremely harmonious scene. At night. At the wine table. Pei Yi held a wine glass and said with a smile, "Brother Qin, here's a toast to you." Qin Feiyang smiled and gently clinked his wine glass with Pei Yi's before downing it in one gulp. Then, he looked at Gong Sunbei and said, "Brother Gong Sun, have you settled Pei Yi?" "Yes, he's now the hall master of the law enforcement hall of our main tower. However, in order to settle him, I really put in a lot of effort." Gong Sunbei smiled. "Great." Qin Feiyang nodded. Hearing the conversation between the two, Pei Yi immediately looked at Qin Feiyang in displeasure and said, "So it was you who came up with this stupid idea behind the scenes." Qin Feiyang said, "You really can't blame me for this. You're just too outstanding." "Bullshit." Pei Yi shook his head. "What about Sister Yu, the mermaid princess asked. "I haven't seen her all these years and she hasn't come back either. I wonder where she went." Gong Sunbei shook his head. "I believe she'll be fine." Qin Feiyang smiled. "That's true. Now, who in the great Qin and forgotten continent dares to hurt her?" Gong Sunbei smiled. Qin Feiyang picked up his wine glass and looked at everyone with a smile. "Every time I come back, everyone dares to visit me and ask about my well-being. I'm really grateful to all of you. I'm not fighting alone outside, and I'm not lonely at home. I thank all of you. You'll always be my family." Qin Feiyang bowed as he spoke. Everyone looked at each other and smiled. Qin Feiyang said with a smile, "Come on, let's toast to our unchanging friendship, affection, and kinship." Hearing this, everyone smiled, raised their glasses, and downed it in one gulp. Qin Feiyang poured another glass and looked at the 54 divine generals. "I'm especially grateful to all of you." "Your Highness, why?" Xia Yuan asked with a smile. "Whether it was in the Great Qin or the ancient world, you've always followed our ancestors in battle. No matter how dangerous it was, you never left. It can be said that without all of you, our ancestors wouldn't exist today. Thank all of you. All of you are the protectors of the Great Qin and the ancient world." Qin Feiyang said as he raised his head and drained the cup in one gulp. The divine generals looked at each other and smiled as they drank their wine. Qin Feiyang poured another glass and said with a smile, "These 3 glasses are to my brothers, Old Zhao, Old Tang, Chui Li, Willow Tree, Yu Huang, the Golden Leopard, the Big Black Wolf, the 3 Black Leopard brothers, the Blood Qilin, the Thunder Leopard, and the White-Eyed Wolf. All of you followed me without fear of death. All of you have never left. All of you are Qin Feiyang's brothers. Really. Thank all of you. I'm really lucky to have all of you." After Qin Feiyang said that, he downed another glass. "You're a man. Don't be so emotional." The White-Eyed Wolf laughed. "Are you going to drink or not?" Qin Feiyang asked. "Yes, I have to drink." The White-Eyed Wolf nodded, grabbed a jar of wine, and started drinking. Qin Feiyang shook his head and laughed. He poured another glass and said, "As for this fourth glass, I want to toast the people around me." After that, Qin Feiyang looked at the mermaid princess. The mermaid princess was surprised. She asked, "Why are you toasting me?" "Thank you for your silent sacrifice, your silent protection, your silent companionship, and your understanding of me. For the rest of my life, I will take good care of you." Qin Feiyang smiled. Is this the rhythm of a proposal? The blood Qilin was shocked. It looks like it. The three black leopard brothers nodded. Then hurry up. Boss, we're all waiting to see. A group of beasts suddenly began to jeer. Ling Yunfei pursed his lips and said, "They have already started to make babies. Is there still a need to propose? Make babies?" Everyone was stunned. Yes. Don't you know? They were in the same room last night. Ling Yunfei chuckled. Really? The white-eyed wolf asked. Yes. Uncle said it himself. How can it be false? Ling Yunfei didn't mind too much. God has finally opened his eyes. Little Qin Zi is finally enlightened. The white-eyed wolf suddenly howled. Looking at this scene, everyone couldn't help but laugh. This wolf cub was so sad for Qin Feiyang. The mermaid princess's face was also red. Qin Feiyang smiled awkwardly. However, there was a trace of disappointment in one person's eyes. That person was Yi Shui-er. Shui-er, there are some things that you can't ask for. Yi Zhong noticed Yi Shui-er's strange expression and smiled comfortingly. I know, Grandpa. Yi Shui nodded and took a deep breath. She was relieved. As for Qin Feiyang, she only had a little bit of feelings for him. And after living in seclusion with old Master Yi for a long time, her personality was also relatively weak, so she was more open-minded. If you can't force it, don't force it, lest both parties be sad in the end. Qin Feiyang hugged the mermaid princess and said with a smile, "Look, everyone is so supportive. Why don't we do as they wish?" What do you mean by doing as we wish? This is your own business. Don't you want to do it? Feng Ling said. Qin Feiyang smiled embarrassedly and lowered his head to look at the mermaid princess. It's up to you. The mermaid princess whispered, her cheeks blushing. That's good. Tomorrow, we'll go to the Sea of Despair to propose marriage. Qin Feiyang laughed out loud. He raised his head and drank the wine in his cup. The white-eyed wolf said with a sneaky smile, "Do you want us to go with you to cheer you on?" Of course. Qin Feiyang waved his hand and said with a smile, "Come, come, come. Tonight, we won't go home until we're drunk." After a night of revelry, the entire house of Autumn Rain was extremely lively. The next day. Morning. The mermaid princess woke up early and helped Lu Qiuyu prepare breakfast. Qin Feiyang slept until the mermaid princess woke him up. What time is it? Qin Feiyang asked. The sun is shining on your butt. The mermaid princess shook her head and smiled. Qin Feiyang got up and rubbed his forehead. My head hurts. I drank too much last night. If you don't know how to drink, then drink less. The mermaid princess was helpless. I'm happy. Qin Feiyang smiled and hugged the mermaid princess's slender waist. I'm a little nervous now. Nervous about what? The mermaid princess was suspicious. Proposing marriage. Look, I'm not afraid even when facing Long Zun. But now, when I think about proposing marriage, I can't help but feel nervous. Qin Feiyang said. My father won't eat you. What's there to be nervous about? The mermaid princess was speechless. Qin Feiyang was stunned for a moment and asked, then, do you think he'll deliberately make things difficult for me? What do you think? The mermaid princess asked. I think so. Qin Feiyang pondered for a moment and nodded. Just like what you said, you're not even afraid of Long Zun. Why are you afraid of my father? Don't worry, you still have me. The mermaid princess smiled. You're so nice. Qin Feiyang chuckled and kissed the mermaid princess's cheek. Then, he quickly got up, put on his clothes, and ran downstairs. The mermaid princess touched her cheek and looked at Qin Feiyang's back. She revealed a happy smile and followed him downstairs. Chapter 2973. After breakfast. Qin Feiyang looked at the emperor and Lu Qiuyu, and said, Father, Mother, when we reach the Sea of Despair, what should I do? You? You don't have to do anything. When the time comes, your mother and I will talk to you. The emperor said. That's good. Qin Feiyang laughed. What's wrong? Nervous? The emperor asked with a smile. Qin Feiyang nodded. Useless. The emperor shook his head in disdain, and said, We have to be more formal when proposing marriage. Your mother and I will go and pack up first. All right. Qin Feiyang responded. Boom. Suddenly, a terrifying aura appeared outside. Qin Feiyang hurriedly walked out and saw a group of people standing in the sky in an orderly manner, all dressed in black armor, looking extremely heroic. You guys? Qin Feiyang looked at these people in a daze. Your Highness, it's us. One of them said. When Qin Feiyang heard this voice, he smiled and said, Xia Yuan, what are you guys doing? I almost couldn't recognize you. Aren't you going to propose marriage? We're going to cheer for you. Look, we're not bad, right? Xia Yuan said. Cheer. Qin Feiyang was stunned. That's right. You said last night that we should go and cheer for you, so we started preparing early in the morning. Xia Yuan nodded. Qin Feiyang shook his head and laughed, I drank too much and forgot. Then do you think we can do this? Xia Yuan asked. Yes. Qin Feiyang nodded. 54 divine generals were going to cheer for him. This was a great honor. This kind of battle was also unprecedented in history. Swish. At this time, Qin Batian, Qin Yuan, Lu Zhengyang, Emperor Hong, Emperor Qin, Elder Qin, Li Jian, Qin Sheng and the others also appeared one after another. All of them were also dressed up. Ancestor, great-grandfather, grandfather, what are you guys doing? Qin Feiyang was suspicious. Proposing marriage for you. Qin Batian said. You guys are going too? Qin Feiyang was stunned. Of course. You are the most promising descendant of the Qin clan. For your marriage, we must take care of it ourselves. Qin Batian said. There's no need for that. Xia Yuan and the others go. If all of you go there, you'll scare the mere people. Qin Feiyang said. What do you know? This is the highest etiquette. It also represents the importance we place on the mermaid race, understand? We haven't been back for so many years. We also want to visit the Merfolk clan. Qin Batian stated. That. Qin Feiyang nodded. Putting everything else aside, the first-generation mermaid emperor, black-winged emperor, and white-winged emperor should show the best etiquette. What about master? Qin Feiyang asked. Qin Batian said with a smile, their family went to play. Don't worry about them. Of course I'm not worried about them. Qin Feiyang smiled slightly. What a joke. One was at the perfection undead stage, the other was at the half-step undead stage. Yi Shui and old Master Yi were also weak. Who in the great Qin and forgotten continent could hurt them? Whoosh. At this time, Zhao Tailai and the others, White-Eyed Wolf and a group of beasts, Fatso, Ling Yunfei and the others also ran over. "Are you done?" "Yes, let's go." White-Eyed Wolf roared, looking more anxious than Qin Feiyang. "I'm the one proposing marriage. Why are you so anxious?" Qin Feiyang rolled his eyes. "I'm anxious for you. It wasn't easy for you to be enlightened. What if you accidentally become stupid again?" White-Eyed Wolf despised. Qin Feiyang's mouth couldn't help but twitch. Zhao Tailai smiled and said, "Brother Wolf is exasperated. Old Zhao knows me well." White-Eyed Wolf sighed. "Get lost." Qin Feiyang glared at White-Eyed Wolf and looked inside. After a while, accompanied by steady footsteps, the emperor and his wife came out. The emperor was wearing a golden robe and a golden crown on his head. It wasn't a dragon crown or a dragon robe, but it still looked noble and gorgeous. Lu Qiuyu was the same. She was wearing a long dress embroidered with a divine phoenix, exuding a noble temperament. "Let's go." The emperor smiled slightly. Qin Feiyang waved his hand and the space-time gate opened. A group of people walked in. "Feiyang, isn't this too grand?" Mermaid Princess looked at everyone and said suspiciously. "Didn't the ancestors say that the grand ceremony represents their respect to the mermaid clan? Let's not bother about it. Let them be. As long as they're happy." Qin Feiyang smiled and pulled Mermaid Princess towards the space-time gate. Mermaid Princess pondered for a moment and said, "No, this marriage proposal, should I go back first?" Qin Feiyang was slightly stunned and shook his head, "I don't know." Mermaid Princess said, "Then, why don't you wait for a while and I go back first? There's no need to go through so much trouble. Look, father and the others didn't say anything. Forget it, let's not care about these red tape. As long as your father agrees to marry you to me, it's fine." Qin Feiyang smiled. Mermaid Princess nodded. The Sea of Despair. It was as cold as ever. Wisps of white cold mist floated on the surface of the sea. Clang! Suddenly, accompanied by an earth-shaking loud noise, the void above the sea immediately began to shake. "What's going on?" This loud noise immediately alarmed the mermaid clan. A group of mermaids with steel forks rushed out of the sea and looked at the sky in surprise. The next moment, a magnificent door opened in the sky. "Quickly report to the Mermaid Emperor, Black-Winged King, and White-Winged King that a mysterious stone door has appeared above our Sea of Despair." The leader of the mermaids roared. "Yes." A mermaid immediately jumped into the sea and disappeared. Suddenly, a mermaid next to him looked at the stone door and said suspiciously, "Boss, why does this stone door seem a little familiar?" "Familiar?" The leader of the mermaids was stunned and looked at the stone door again. "You don't say, it really is a little familiar." Before the group of mermaids could think about it, a terrifying aura emerged from the stone door. One by one, black-armored men walked out of the stone door like a well-trained army. Who are these people? This aura is even more terrifying than the Mermaid Emperor and the others. No. Even Ling Yunfei and the others can't compare with these people. The group of mermaids was very surprised. Ling Yunfei had been living in the spirit state and would visit the Sea of Despair during festivals, so the mermaid clan was very familiar with Ling Yunfei and Ling Yunfei's cultivation strength. But now, the aura these people exuded was many times more powerful than Ling Yunfei's. They were like gods descending to the mortal world, making them tremble uncontrollably. That's right. The first people to appear were Xia Yuan and the other 54 immortal generals. As masters of the initial imperishable realm, how could these mermaids withstand their aura? This was under their control. If they didn't control it and released their aura, these warriors, masters, and ancestral warriors would instantly explode and die. Boom! This matter. The Mermaid Emperor, Black-Winged King, and white-winged king rushed out of the sea anxiously. When they saw Xia Yuan and the others, their expressions changed drastically. "What's going on?" Black-winged king asked. "I don't know. They all came out from that door," one of the mermaids said. "What door?" The three of them were surprised. "It's the door behind them." A group of people pointed behind Xia Yuan and the others. The mermaid emperor and the others looked up and saw a stone door shining with divine light behind Xia Yuan and the others. That is, the three of them were stunned. "What?" The mermaids looked at the three of them in surprise. "That seems to be the space-time door," the mermaid emperor exclaimed. "The space-time door?" Everyone was stunned. In the blink of an eye. At this moment, more figures walked out of the space-time door. The leader was the emperor and Lu Qiuyu. "Aren't they the emperor and empress of Great Qin?" Seeing the couple appear, the mermaid clan was in an uproar. Black-winged king looked at the mermaid emperor and asked, "Old man, are they your in-laws?" "Yes." The mermaid emperor nodded. Black-winged king was stunned. "Then what are they doing? Why are they making such a big scene?" "I don't know." The mermaid emperor shook his head, his face full of doubts. "Wait. Wasn't this space-time door Qin Feiyang's divine item? How could it be in the hands of the emperor? Could it be that Qin Feiyang gave it to the emperor when he left last time?" The mermaid emperor was about to go up and greet them. But at this moment, his gaze suddenly shook as he looked at the person who came out of the space-time door. This person was Emperor Hong. Then, Emperor Chen appeared. Then, Li Jian, Old Qin, Qin Yuan, Qin Sheng, and the others appeared one after another. The mermaid emperor was completely stunned. What the hell was going on? Even Emperor Hong, Emperor Chen, these peerless figures, came in person? Even Qin Yuan had come. Others might not know, but he knew that Qin Yuan was the person Qin Feiyang respected the most. And he was the guardian of this continent. It was difficult for others to see him, let alone come to his sea of despair. Did something big happen? The mermaid emperor was shocked and quickly flew up. But suddenly, he stopped again and looked at the two people who came out of the space-time door. His eyes were full of surprise. The two were Qin Badian and Lu Zhengyang. Lu Zhengyang was a stranger to him. It was during these years, when he visited the Lu family during the holidays, he saw Lu Zhengyang's statue. But Qin Baishan's statue was erected in the mermaid clan's holy land. He could see it every day, so he was naturally familiar with it. And the person in front of him was exactly the same as the statue in the Holy Land. He was Qin Badian, the Emperor of Qin. Was this a dream? Wasn't the Emperor of Qin in the ancient world? When did he come back? The Emperor of Qin, these two words, that was the legend of the Great Qin. The founding Emperor of the Great Qin. And the master of the first mermaid emperor of the mermaid clan, the black-winged emperor, and the white-winged emperor followed. That was a man full of legends. Not only the mermaid emperor, the black-winged emperor, the white-winged emperor, and even all the mermaids present were dumbfounded, staring at Qin Badian. They were all wondering if their eyes were playing tricks on them. It was simply unbelievable. Chapter 2974. At the same time, Qin Badian glanced at the sea of despair with a hint of nostalgia in his eyes. In his nostalgia, there was a hint of sadness. Whoosh! After Qin Badian and Lu Zhengyang appeared, Zhao Tailai, Ling Yunfei, and the others, as well as the white-eyed wolf and a group of beasts, appeared one after another. Wolf Cub, Blood Kirin, Golden Panther, Zhao Tailai. Looking at those familiar figures, the mermaid emperor's eyes trembled. Could it be in the next moment. A man and a woman walked out of the space-time gate hand in hand. It's the princess. It's Prince Feiyang. The mermaid clan was immediately in an uproar. The mermaid emperor, white-winged king, and black-winged king also looked at the two in surprise. Father! The mermaid princess shouted and immediately let go of Qin Feiyang. In a flash, she landed in front of the mermaid emperor. Daughter, is it really you? The mermaid emperor looked at his daughter in front of him in disbelief. It's me. The mermaid princess nodded. That's great. The mermaid emperor grabbed the mermaid princess's hand and said, Look, it's only been 10 years, and you've become thinner. Really? The mermaid princess was stunned. Of course. Father, you're old, but your eyes are still sharp. How did Qin Feiyang take care of you? The mermaid emperor said angrily. Father, don't talk nonsense. Feiyang is very good to me. The mermaid princess lowered her head. A grown girl can't be kept at home. The mermaid emperor shook his head and looked at Qin Batian and the others. He asked suspiciously, what's going on? The mermaid princess blushed and hesitated before saying, let Feiyang and the others tell you. At the same time, Qin Feiyang also put away the space-time gate and looked at the mermaid emperor with a trace of anxiety in his eyes. What are you afraid of? The white-eyed wolf looked at him with disdain. He stared at the mermaid emperor and shouted, Father-in-law, we are here to propose marriage. Ugh! Qin Feiyang was stunned. The emperor and the others were stunned. This was too direct. Couldn't they be more reserved? Marriage proposal? In the meantime, the mermaid emperor and the others looked at each other. You may leave. Qin Batian smiled. Immediately, 54 divine generals cleared the way and flew down in a grandiose manner. After going down, the 54 divine generals spread out in all directions. They stood on the surface of the sea and looked straight ahead. Qin Feiyang and the others stood in the center. The emperor stepped forward and looked at the mermaid emperor. He cupped his hands and said, I hope I didn't startle you. I was really scared. The mermaid emperor smiled bitterly and bowed. Greetings, Your Majesty and Empress. You're welcome. The emperor and his wife hurriedly waved their hands. Now that he was here to propose marriage, how could he put on airs? Your Majesty, Empress, these two, the mermaid emperor immediately looked at Qin Batian. Without waiting for the couple to speak, Qin Batian nodded and smiled. Yes, I am Qin Batian, and this is the ancestor of the Lu family, Lu Zhengyang. Greetings, Emperor Qin. Greetings, Lord Lu. The mermaid emperor trembled and hurriedly knelt on the surface of the sea and bowed. The black-winged monarch, the white-winged monarch, and the other mermaids also knelt. Don't. We're all family, why are you being so polite? Qin Batian hurriedly helped the mermaid emperor up and looked at the black-winged monarch and the others. Quickly get up. The people of the Merfolk clan didn't expect that this legendary mythical figure would be so amiable, and they relaxed a lot. Uncle. Qin Feiyang also stepped forward and bowed under the emperor and his wife's signal. The mermaid emperor was angry when he saw Qin Feiyang. He said angrily, You brat, if you want to propose marriage, so be it. Why do you have to make such a big fuss? I thought someone was going to attack the mermaid clan. They were the ones who wanted to come here. Qin Feiyang scratched his head. The mermaid emperor looked at Xia Yuan and the other 54 people and asked, Who are they? They're all subordinates of the ancestor. Qin Feiyang said. I see, no wonder they're so scary. The mermaid emperor nodded and asked suspiciously, When did you guys come back? The day before yesterday. Qin Feiyang said. The mermaid emperor was speechless. You came back the day before yesterday, and now you're here to propose marriage. You're too impatient. Ha, Qin Feiyang laughed dryly. The Mermaid Emperor shook his head and smiled. He looked at Qin Badian and the others and said, "Thank you for your hard work, everyone. Let's go down and have a chat." Okay. Qin Badian nodded. The Mermaid Emperor immediately pulled the Mermaid Princess into the sea and flew to the bottom of the sea. "You guys stay outside." Qin Badian looked at Qin Feiyang and the others and instructed them. Then, he led Qin Feiyang and the others into the underwater city. There's actually such a big city at the bottom of the sea? The big black wolf and the 3 black leopard brothers scanned the bottom of the sea with a look of surprise. What's this? There are still many treasures here. The white-eyed wolf said. What treasures? The big black wolf's eyes suddenly lit up. Don't worry, I'll take you guys for a stroll later. The white-eyed wolf smiled sinisterly. Okay. The big black wolf and the 3 black leopard brothers nodded repeatedly. At the same time, the Mermaid Emperor led the way and said with a smile, "Emperor Qin, I really didn't expect that I would be able to see your true appearance in my lifetime." Qin Badian smiled and said, "I'm not a big shot, so there's no need for that." "If you're not a big shot, then who is? Let's talk about it later. If it weren't for you, our mermaid race would have long been extinct. You're not only the founding emperor of Great Qin, but also the benefactor of our mermaid race." The Mermaid Emperor said. Yes. The black-winged monarch and the white-winged monarch nodded in agreement. You're too polite. Qin Badian smiled slightly. Soon, the group of people entered the underwater city and immediately caused a huge uproar. Everyone looked at Qin Badian with eyes full of surprise and shock. "Little Qin Z, let's go for a stroll," the white-eyed wolf said and ran away with a group of beasts. "Don't mess around," Qin Feiyang hurriedly shouted. "It's okay. Let them play. It's just a small place. They can't cause any trouble." The Mermaid Emperor smiled and led everyone into a palace. He said respectfully, "Emperor Qin, please take a seat." No, you're the master here. How can I steal the limelight?" Qin Badian waved his hand. "What do you mean by stealing the limelight? The entire Great Qin is yours, not to mention the Sea of Despair. If you're so polite, then you're treating us as outsiders," the Mermaid Emperor said. Qin Badian shook his head and laughed. "Then it would be impolite for me to refuse." Of course. The Mermaid Emperor said. In the end, everyone else sat down, and only Qin Feiyang remained standing. This was the Emperor couple's intention. After all, they were here to propose marriage. Only by standing could they show their sincerity. Qin Badian swept his gaze over the surroundings before looking at the Mermaid Emperor. "When we were in the ancient world, Feiyang and the others already told me about the situation of the mermaid race. Thank you for your hard work, and thank you for always protecting the Great Qin. Emperor Qin, you're too polite. This is what I should do." The Mermaid Emperor waved his hand. After chatting for a while, Qin Badian smiled and said, "Then let's get back to business. This time, I'm here to see the mermaid race and also for these 2 children." Qin Feiyang glanced at Qin Feiyang and the Mermaid Princess. Then, he looked at the Mermaid Emperor and continued, "These 2 children have been in love with each other since they were young. It's time to settle their matter." Hearing this, the Mermaid Emperor also glanced at Qin Feiyang and the Mermaid Princess. He smiled and said, "To be honest, when they came back last time, I wanted them to settle this matter." Speaking of this, the Mermaid Emperor sighed again and said, "But as you know, the young people nowadays are different from us, the older generation. We can't control their thoughts, so we've been dragging it out." Yes. Qin Badian nodded. Lu Qiuyu smiled and said, So, you won't object? Why would I object? Fei Yang is such an outstanding child. It's my daughter's fortune to be able to marry him. Let's talk about it later. Initially, the Mermaid clan and your Qin clan share a deep relationship. Their union is destined by the heavens. Moreover, with my daughter's temper, what use is there for me to object? The Mermaid Emperor shook his head and smiled bitterly. Mermaid Princess and Qin Feiyang looked at each other and smiled. It was going smoothly beyond their imagination. Qin Batian and the Emperor couple were also overjoyed. To be honest, I watched Feiyang grow up. Whether it's a person or a way of doing things, he's good. What I admire the most is that he's responsible and responsible. I believe that my daughter will be happy with him. The Mermaid Emperor smiled. If that's the case, then let's choose a date for their wedding. Qin Batian said. The Mermaid Emperor said, "It's all up to you, Your Majesty. How can I make the decision?" Qin Batian shook his head and looked at the Mermaid Emperor and the Emperor couple. He smiled and said, "You are their parents. This is for you to decide. As for me, I'll just wait for the wedding banquet. We definitely won't forget you." Lu Qiuyu smiled and said. Then you guys discuss. I'll go to the Holy Land to take a look. Qin Batian got up and smiled. The Mermaid Emperor hurriedly said, Then I'll get someone to bring you there. No need. Qin Batian waved his hand and smiled. I'm quite familiar with this place. I'll go take a look too. Lu Zhengyang got up and said. Let's leave too. Ling Yunfei said. At that moment, everyone left the hall one after another. The Black-Winged King and the White-Winged King also left. Soon, only the Mermaid Emperor, the Emperor couple, Qin Feiyang and the Mermaid Princess were left. The Mermaid Emperor looked at Qin Feiyang and the Mermaid Princess and said with a smile, You guys have a seat too. Qin Feiyang looked at the Emperor couple. Why are you looking at us? Your father-in-law has already spoken. How dare we not let you sit? The Emperor joked. Qin Feiyang scratched his head and pulled the Mermaid Princess to sit together. Right. The Mermaid Emperor suddenly seemed to have thought of something. Looking at Qin Feiyang and the Mermaid Princess, he asked, Why don't I see the ancestors? The ancestors he mentioned were naturally the first Mermaid Emperor, the Black-Winged King and the White-Winged King. The Mermaid Princess immediately looked at Qin Feiyang. Qin Feiyang's heart couldn't help but tremble. That's right. Since we came back, we haven't seen them. You guys didn't seem to have mentioned them either. The Emperor couple also looked at Qin Feiyang and Lu Zhengyang suspiciously. Chapter 2975. Seeing that the Emperor and his wife were also curious, the Mermaid Princess transmitted her voice, What should we do? Qin Feiyang thought for a while, looked at the three of them, and said, They are still in the ancient world. Why are they still in the ancient world? The three of them were puzzled. The battle has just ended, so they need to take charge of the situation and maintain order in the ancient world. Qin Feiyang smiled. I see. The three of them nodded in realization. You don't have to worry. Now that the ancient world is peaceful, there won't be any danger. Besides, with their strength, no one will be able to injure them. Qin Feiyang said. That's good. The Mermaid Emperor nodded and said with a smile, If that's the case, then wait for them to come back before you get married. Wait for them to come back. Qin Feiyang and the Mermaid Princess were stunned. Yes. We're a family. We have to be complete, right? The Mermaid Emperor chuckled. No need. Because before we left, the three old ancestors said that we don't have to wait for them. The Mermaid Princess said. Why? The Mermaid Emperor was puzzled. Father, you don't know how big the ancient world is. The battle with the dragons almost affected the entire ancient world. It will take at least a few thousand years to completely calm down. Therefore, the three old ancestors will take at least a few thousand years to come back. Actually, Feiyang and I don't mind waiting for a few thousand years, but you guys, the mermaid princess looked at the three of them. A few thousand years. The emperor was stunned and shook his head. How can we do that? I want to have a grandchild now. In-law, why don't we not wait then? Of course. We respect your opinion. If you want to wait, we will wait. Lu Qiuyu looked at the mermaid emperor and smiled. A few thousand years, the mermaid emperor shook his head and smiled bitterly. How could he afford to wait? He was also waiting to hold his grandchild. The mermaid princess said, "Why don't we wait then? A few thousand years will pass soon anyway. It will be over soon." The mermaid emperor looked at the mermaid princess, speechless. To a mortal, this was something that had happened in dozens of lifetimes. The mermaid emperor waved his hand and said, "No need, no need. After a few thousand years, I might have already died." Father, what are you saying? You will definitely live a long life. The mermaid princess said angrily. Yes, yes, yes. The mermaid emperor nodded and said with a smile, "Then hurry up and give birth to a fat little boy for me to play with." What? Play? Qin Feiyang was stunned. The mermaid emperor was taken aback. He hurriedly explained, "That's not what I meant. That's not what I meant. What I meant was that if I had a grandson, I could play with him while I still have the strength." You're saying this again. The mermaid princess shook her head. The mermaid emperor said, "What's wrong with that? I'm already old." Actually, that wasn't the case. After Qin Feiyang left behind the crystal vein and spirit vein here, the cultivation environment here was no longer the same as before. The mermaid emperor's cultivation base had also improved by leaps and bounds. As his cultivation base improved, his lifespan would also be extended without limit. In fact, it was just one sentence. He wanted to have a grandson. Next. Qin Feiyang and the mermaid princess also went out, leaving the three of them to slowly discuss. Thank you. On the street. Qin Feiyang held the mermaid princess's hand and said in a low voice. Thank me for what? The mermaid princess looked at him suspiciously. Thank you for lying for me. Qin Feiyang said. I'm not doing it for you. I'm also doing it for father and the others. I don't want them to worry. The mermaid princess said. Qin Feiyang smiled and said to himself, I have to tell the ancestors and the white-eyed wolf about this. Don't let it slip. N. The mermaid princess nodded. Your Highness. Your Highness Feiyang. Along the way, they met many mermaids who greeted the two of them warmly. At noon. Everyone also stayed at the mermaid clan to enjoy a meal of delicacies. These so-called delicacies were rarely seen outside, but in the mermaid clan, they were equivalent to radishes and cabbages outside. After enjoying a good meal, the emperor and his wife proposed to leave. And they had already set the date of the wedding. It would be 3 days later. In other words, in 3 days, the mermaid princess would officially become Qin Feiyang's wife. This was what Qin Feiyang was looking forward to, and also what the mermaid princess was looking forward to. Of course. The happiest person was actually Qin Yuan. Because he had watched Qin Feiyang grow up. He had always treated Qin Feiyang as his own grandson. As a grandfather, how could he not be happy to see his grandson get married and have children? After saying goodbye, everyone left the Sea of Despair. The mermaid princess stayed in the Sea of Despair. After all, this was the rule. How could an unmarried girl always stay in the man's house? This was inappropriate. On the surface of the sea. Qin Feiyang and the mermaid princess stood face to face. Qin Feiyang smiled and said, "Wait for me to marry you." The mermaid princess nodded, her face full of happiness. "Then I'll go back first. Don't miss me too much these few days." Qin Feiyang chuckled. "Who would miss you?" The mermaid princess's face was red. Looking at the mermaid princess's ripe apple-like cheeks, Qin Feiyang's heart immediately surged uncontrollably. "You're so beautiful." He leaned close to the mermaid princess, smelled her body fragrance, and couldn't help but kiss her. Butterfly Valley. When Qin Feiyang bid farewell to the mermaid princess and rushed here, only Ling Yunfei and Fatso were left. The others had already been released back to Great Qin. "What are you still doing here?" Qin Feiyang was suspicious. "Waiting for you," Ling Yunfei said. Fatso said with a sneaky smile, "Boss, when we just left the Sea of Despair, I stole a glance at you guys. You guys even kissed." The corner of Qin Feiyang's mouth twitched, and said, "We're open and aboveboard. Why would we be afraid of you looking?" "Of course we're not afraid. I just want to say, do you want me to impart some experience to you?" Fatso laughed sinisterly. Qin Feiyang's face instantly darkened. "Boss, to be honest, I'm not as good as you in cultivation, but in this aspect, I'm still very experienced," Fatso said. "Get lost." Qin Feiyang rolled his eyes at him, looked at the two of them, and asked, "Why are you guys waiting for me here?" "We just want to ask you, is it time for Qin Li's training to end?" Ling Yunfei said. "Qin Li," Qin Feiyang muttered. Of course, he remembered this person. It was one of his younger brothers. Back then, Qin Li had bad intentions. In a fit of anger, he expelled him from the imperial capital, asked Li Jian to send him to the 9 provinces, and ordered him not to return to the imperial capital within 5 years. "Where is he now?" Qin Feiyang asked. Ling Yunfei said, "In the inner hall." "Didn't I say that he can't return to the imperial capital within 5 years? It's been more than 10 years now. Why doesn't he go back by himself?" Qin Feiyang was suspicious. "We also talked to him. He said that he can't go back before you get your forgiveness." Ling Yunfei shook his head. "My forgiveness?" Qin Feiyang was stunned, and said with a smile, "Is my forgiveness that important?" "Of course. For your younger brothers and sisters, you are a god in their hearts," Ling Yunfei said. Qin Feiyang said, "So, he hasn't gone back for more than 10 years? "Yes. It's all uncle and aunt who came to see him in person." Ling Yunfei nodded. "Then how is he now?" Qin Feiyang asked. "The hardships over the years have played a big role in him," Ling Yunfei said. Qin Feiyang pondered for a while and said, "Okay, you go and bring him here. I have to test him." "Test?" Ling Yunfei and Fatso were stunned. "I have to know whether he is sincerely repentant or pretending. After all, some people are very good at pretending," Qin Feiyang said. "Then how are you going to test him?" The two were suspicious. Qin Feiyang thought for a while and whispered a few words in their ears. Hearing this, the two were slightly stunned, and then couldn't help but shake their heads. After saying that, he opened the portal and left. Qin Feiyang waved his hand, and then the portal landed in front of a row of courtyards and quietly waited for Qin Li. These courtyards were naturally where Yan Nanshan and the others lived. But now, everyone was in the imperial palace, so now there was no one here. More than 10 years passed. Except for everything becoming more ancient than before, there were not many changes. Time passed by breath. About a few hundred breaths. Whoosh! A young man appeared in the sky above the Butterfly Valley, looking quite nervous. He was Qin Li. But Ling Yunfei and Fatso did not appear. After so many years, Qin Li's temperament was completely different from before. In the past, only arrogance could be seen in him. But now, it had been restrained and replaced by calmness. Qin Feiyang naturally sensed Qin Li's aura immediately and looked up at him. From the temperament that Qin Li was showing now, there was indeed a big change. But he just didn't know if this was the real side. Qin Li glanced at the Butterfly Valley, and a trace of suspicion gradually crept into his nervous expression. Where was he? Wasn't he in the Butterfly Valley? Why didn't he see him? I'm here, Qin Feiyang said. Qin Li immediately looked in the direction of the voice, and when he saw Qin Feiyang standing in front of the courtyard, his pupils suddenly shrank. It was a trace of instinctive fear. Qin Feiyang said with a faint smile, "Do you want me, a cripple, to keep looking up at you while talking?" A cripple? Qin Li was slightly stunned, and landed in front of Qin Feiyang in surprise, and then sized up Qin Feiyang. "Where are Ling Yunfei and Fatso?" Qin Feiyang asked with a smile. Qin Li said, "They have to go to the Iron Ox town for something, and said they will only return at night." Qin Feiyang nodded and said, "How have you been these years?" "Not bad." Qin Li nodded and frowned, "What about your cultivation?" "These years in the battle in the ancient world, although I won in the end, because of serious injuries, I lost all my cultivation, and even my soul was damaged." Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. "Lost all my cultivation," Qin Li's gaze trembled slightly. "What? Looking at me now, do you want to kill me to wash away your shame?" Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. Qin Li looked slightly flustered. To be honest, at this moment, he did have such a thought. However, looking at the current Qin Feiyang, he couldn't help but admire and sympathize with him. Chapter 2976. Qin Feiyang said, "If you really want to make a move, take advantage of the fact that there's no one else around and do it quickly." Qin Li's heart was in a mess, and he frowned. "Aren't you afraid of death?" Qin Feiyang laughed. "Now that the ancient realm and the great Qin are at peace, it doesn't matter if I die." "It doesn't matter," Qin Li muttered, and asked, "Could it be that in your heart, you only have the common people in the world?" Qin Feiyang said, "I'm not that great, I just don't want to see the common people suffer." Qin Li lowered his head, and remained silent. Suddenly, he took a step forward and arrived in front of Qin Feiyang, his gaze becoming incomparably sharp. Qin Feiyang's expression remained indifferent from the beginning. But soon after, Qin Li actually knelt in front of Qin Feiyang with a plop, and said, "Big brother, I respect you. You are a man, and you will always be my big brother." Qin Feiyang was slightly startled, it was a little unexpected. Then, Qin Li stood up and reached out to support Qin Feiyang. His eyes became gentle, and he smiled, "Big brother, let's go home. In the past, you protected us, but now, let us protect you." Hearing these words, Qin Feiyang was immediately gratified. After more than 10 years of tempering, this younger brother had finally changed completely. It was also at this moment. Accompanied by loud laughter, Fatso and Ling Yunfei appeared out of thin air. "You guys?" Qin Li looked at the two of them in astonishment. Fatso teased, "You're still protecting him, kid, do you really think your big brother is crippled?" Qin Li was stunned, and immediately turned his head, looking at Qin Feiyang in surprise. Qin Feiyang smiled slightly, took out a divine-level spirit sea pill and swallowed it. "What's going on?" Qin Li was puzzled. "Your big brother is testing you. To see if you have completely changed your ways. And obviously, your performance has satisfied him." Ling Yunfei said. "Testing me?" Qin Li stared blankly at the three of them. Qin Feiyang said apologetically, "It's my fault. I've been used to fighting and scheming against each other. I don't even trust my own brother. Qin Li finally recovered and said with a wry smile, Big brother, your scheme is really deep. If I don't trick you, how would I know what you're really thinking? Ling Yunfei chuckled and said, It's great now. You siblings are finally reunited. Yes. Qin Feiyang nodded. He looked at Qin Li and smiled, I am very happy that you have turned over a new leaf. I will not treat you unfairly. I will send you to the Black Tortoise world now. Black Tortoise world. Qin Li's eyes suddenly lit up. Although he had been in the spiritual state, he knew about Qin Haotian, Qin Yun, Lu Xiaofei, and Situ Feiyang. It was because he had entered the Black Tortoise world that his cultivation had become so strong. Therefore, he had longed to enter the Black Tortoise world for a long time. Work hard. The future of the great Qin depends on you guys. Qin Feiyang smiled slightly. Depends on us? Qin Li was slightly stunned and asked suspiciously, Didn't you come back? Me? Qin Feiyang shook his head and smiled. He did not explain and sent Qin Li to the Black Tortoise world. Fatso asked, Boss, if Qin Li really attacked you before, what would you do? What do you think? Qin Feiyang smiled faintly and entered the underground stone room. He opened the teleportation altar and returned to the imperial capital. Fatso pondered for a while, then turned to look at Ling Yunfei and said, I'm afraid I'll really kill him. Do you still need to ask? Ling Yunfei rolled his eyes at him. In a flash, 3 days had passed. In these 3 days, Qin Feiyang was quite relaxed, but the others were extremely busy. Especially the emperor couple. As parents, they naturally wanted to personally attend their children's wedding. Therefore, in these 3 days, they had been busy. Moreover, the news of Qin Feiyang's return and marriage had also spread. There was no one in the imperial capital who did not know about it. Even though so many years had passed, Qin Feiyang's deeds had still been passed down to the world. Therefore, everyone was still as respectful to Qin Feiyang as before. In their eyes, Qin Feiyang was still the guardian of Great Qin. The guardian is getting married, then no matter what, we have to go and congratulate him. That's right. I heard that their wedding is in the central square of the first district. Let's go together. For a time, countless people rushed towards the first district. In less than half a day, the first district was packed with people. The wedding was indeed in the central square. Because Qin Feiyang had once said that he wanted to hold a grand wedding for the mermaid princess. Early morning. Before dawn. Under the urging of the emperor couple, Qin Feiyang got out of bed. Lu Qiuyu brought a set of red wedding robes and personally put it on Qin Feiyang. Not bad, my son is so handsome. Looking at the child in front of her, Lu Qiuyu's face was full of a proud smile. Qin Feiyang scratched his head embarrassedly. Boss, we're all ready to go. Outside. Fatso's voice also sounded. This wedding procession still had 54 divine generals leading the way. Of course. There would certainly be a lot of fierce beasts like the white-eyed wolf. Moreover, the white-eyed wolf and the blood Kirin also made sacrifices and were willing to be Qin Feiyang and the mermaid princess's ride. Everyone headed towards the Sea of Despair in a majestic manner. As for the emperor couple, Emperor Hong, Qin Batian, Emperor Chen, and the others, they naturally went directly to the central square. At the same time, the undersea city in the Sea of Despair was also full of celebration. Inside the palace, the mermaid princess was wearing a red dress with a phoenix pattern embroidered on it. She looked graceful and luxurious. Daughter, you're going to get married. Take good care of yourself in the future. Remember to come back and see this old man more often. Looking at his daughter in front of him, the mermaid emperor was both happy and sad. Father, the Sea of Despair is not far from the imperial capital. If I want to come back, I can come back at any time. If you want to go, you can go at any time. Is there a need to be such a life and death separation? The mermaid princess was helpless. Of course, I know, but my heart is sad. You say, it wasn't easy for me to raise you, but in the end, that kid Qin Feiyang took advantage of you. Let me tell you, if Qin Feiyang dares to bully you in the future, come back and tell me. I'll settle the score with him. The mermaid emperor said. Okay. The mermaid princess nodded. You're still chatting? The wedding procession is here. The black-winged king and the white-winged king ran in and looked at the father and daughter speechlessly. The two of them were also dressed very jubilantly. So fast? The mermaid emperor was stunned. The black-winged king urged, yes, they are all flying towards the undersea city. Hurry up. Okay, okay. The mermaid emperor nodded. There was a gorgeous phoenix crown on the table next to him. The mermaid emperor picked up the phoenix crown and personally put it on the mermaid princess. He smiled and said, my daughter is really shining today. The mermaid princess blushed and turned to look outside. The black-winged king teased, Your Highness, how impatient are you? Uncle, even you are making fun of me. The mermaid princess blushed. Huh, the black-winged king and the white-winged king looked at each other and couldn't help but laugh. They're here, they're here. A mermaid ran in and shouted. The mermaid emperor and the other two immediately waited solemnly. Soon, accompanied by powerful auras, a group of people and ferocious beasts landed outside the palace gate in a mighty manner. The leaders were the white-eyed wolf and the blood Kirin. At this moment, their bodies were more than 10 meters long and majestic. Qin Feiyang stood on the white-eyed wolf's back. The white-eyed wolf thought, Little Qin Zi, I'm a good brother, aren't I? I'll be your ride. Very good, very good. Qin Feiyang smiled and jumped down. He strode into the palace with the 54 divine generals. You're here. The mermaid princess smiled faintly. Yes. Qin Feiyang nodded and looked at the mermaid princess. He smiled and said, You're so beautiful. The mermaid princess blushed again. Ahem. The mermaid emperor sat on the chair next to them and coughed. Huo Lian followed beside Qin Feiyang and reminded him in a low voice, Big brother Qin, don't chat anymore. Hurry up and greet your father-in-law. Okay, okay, okay. Qin Feiyang nodded and hurried before the mermaid emperor. He knelt on the ground and said, Your child, Qin Feiyang, greets father-in-law. You're changing your mind so quickly. How impatient are you? The mermaid emperor said with a straight face. Well, Qin Feiyang stammered. Father, the mermaid princess looked at the mermaid emperor unhappily. The mermaid emperor shook his head and sighed. A grown girl can't be kept at home. All right, I won't make things difficult for you. Get up. Qin Feiyang smiled embarrassedly and quickly got up. The mermaid emperor stood up and grabbed the mermaid princess' hand. He then put it in Qin Feiyang's hand and smiled. Feiyang, I'll leave my daughter to you. Treat her well in the future. Don't worry. She's my life. Qin Feiyang nodded. Good, good, good. The mermaid emperor nodded happily and said, Then you can go. Thank you, father. The mermaid princess and Qin Feiyang stood together and bowed before the mermaid emperor. Go. Go. The mermaid emperor waved his hand and turned his head. His eyes were wet. Fire Lotus said, Let's go. Qin Feiyang nodded and pulled the mermaid princess, who was also crying, out of the palace. The white-eyed wolf and the blood Kirin immediately lay down on the ground. The two of them climbed onto the backs of the white-eyed wolf and the blood Kirin. The mermaid emperor finally turned his head and looked at the two. He smiled and said, Love each other forever. Yes. The two of them nodded. Let's go. The white-eyed wolf roared, and the wedding procession flew into the sky above the sea. They are married. Their wish has finally come true. The mermaid emperor watched the procession leave and wiped his tears. Yes. The Black Wing King and the White Wing King nodded. Fire Lotus, who was standing at the door, turned to the three of them and said, "Why don't the three of you come with us?" "I'm not going. Our people are celebrating, too. If we all leave, who will accompany them?" The mermaid emperor laughed. "Okay then. When you are done, I will ask Qin Dage to pick you up." Fire Lotus said. "Okay." The mermaid emperor nodded. Fire Lotus smiled and stepped forward. She appeared in the sky above the sea before everyone else. She waved her hand and a time door opened. Chapter 2977. First District, Central Square. At this moment, the entire square was spotless, and there was a red carpet that was several meters wide in the middle. Right in front. The emperor and his wife sat in the main seat. After all, they were Qin Feiyang's parents, and the most important people in this wedding apart from Qin Feiyang and the mermaid princess. Therefore, even people like Qin Batian could not steal their limelight. Qin Batian, Emperor Hong, Emperor Chen, Qin Yuan, Lu Zhengyang, several grandpas, Elder Qin, and Yi Zhong, the older generation sat on both sides. People like Li Jian, Zhao Tai Lai, and Lu Ji sat in the second row behind. And the younger generation like Qin Yun sat in the third row. After 3 days of cultivation in the Black Tortoise realm, Qin Li had also broken through to godhood. Now, he was also wearing festive clothes, sitting with Qin Yun and the others. Everyone had a tea table next to them, with sparkling fruits, teacups, and so on. Everyone was chatting and laughing. Around the square, there was also a sea of people. Everyone was whispering and looking forward to it. I didn't expect even the Qin Emperor to appear. I thought he had already fallen. Yeah. The person who disappeared for thousands of years and was almost forgotten suddenly appeared. How shocking. The chief eunuch looked at the sky, lowered his head, and whispered in the emperor's ear, "Your Majesty, the time has come. It's your turn to speak." The emperor nodded with a smile and stood up. Immediately. Whether it was the people on the square or off the square, they all quieted down. The emperor cupped his hands and said, "First of all, thank you for your love for the Qin clan." A smile appeared on everyone's face. "My son, Qin Feiyang, I believe everyone here is familiar with him. Not only did he save the great Qin, but he also saved the forgotten continent. Once, he sacrificed himself to revive all the living beings in the 9 continents. Everyone sees him as their guardian, respects him, and worships him. But in my eyes, he will always be my son. So at this moment, I am very happy. Because this is what I and the Empress have been waiting for. We just want him to have a family and a good wife to accompany him and take care of him. Today, we have finally reached this step. We have finally fulfilled one of our wishes." The emperor smiled. His voice was not very loud, but it was clearly heard by everyone. Everyone's face was full of smiles. "My second wish. Great Qin has been around for more than 10,000 years, and even though we've gone through countless storms, none of them have affected Great Qin's fate. We believe that in the future, Great Qin will become more and more prosperous. Every citizen of Great Qin will be able to live a happy and peaceful life in the future." Di Wang said. "I will." The crowd roared. The emperor smiled and said, "As for the third wish, I hope that these 2 children would help each other in the future and love each other for the rest of their lives. If they could quickly give birth to a granddaughter or grandson, that would be the best." Everyone laughed. Is this funny? It's not funny. Although I'm the emperor of Great Qin and seem unapproachable, I'm actually just an ordinary person. So, like all of you, I hope that I can have a grandchild soon and enjoy the rest of my life." The emperor chuckled. Outside the arena, someone laughed and said, "Your Majesty, you should urge them more. Times are different now. If the young people are not willing, what's the use of urging them? So, let's leave it to fate." The emperor waved his hand. Everyone looked at the emperor on the arena. They never thought that the ruler of Great Qin would look so amiable. All along, in the eyes of the world, the emperor represented supreme authority. He was dignified, cold, and unsmiling. But now, in front of so many people, he was talking and laughing without putting on any airs. It was a blessing for Great Qin to have such an emperor. Clang! The emperor was about to speak again, but at that moment, a deafening sound suddenly rang out in the sky. The emperor looked up and revealed a smile. He looked around and said with a smile, "Then I won't say much, lest everyone find me long-winded. Now, let's invite the two newcomers to the arena." As soon as he finished speaking, everyone looked up at the space-time gate in the sky. Roar! Roar! With the howl of a wolf and the roar of a qilin, the white-eyed wolf and the blood qilin fell to Qin Feiyang and the mermaid princess and walked out of the space-time gate side by side. "Look! It's the guardian deity. A qilin ride, this is really a big deal. Are you kidding? Don't you know who the master is today? Facing the guardian deity, isn't this a piece of cake?" Everyone laughed. Roar! Suddenly, another dragon roar sounded, and the five-clawed golden dragon revealed its true form and soared into the sky. "Look, it's the divine dragon." At that moment, everyone was startled. The five-clawed golden dragon was tens of thousands of feet long. It circled above the imperial city and danced in the sky. Divine light sprinkled down, enveloping the entire imperial city. Five-clawed golden dragon. This is the symbol of the royal family. And this is not an illusion, it's a real five-clawed golden dragon. Oh my God! This is the first time in my life that I've seen a real divine dragon. The five-clawed golden dragon has appeared, and the Great Qin Empire will prosper. Everyone cheered as they bathed in the divine light. Those who were injured were quickly healed. Those who could not cultivate were reborn and stepped onto the path of cultivation. This auspicious scene caused the entire imperial city to be in an uproar. This guy, Qin Feiyang, shook his head and laughed. He looked down at the white-eyed wolf and said, "Let's go." Boom! The white-eyed wolf and the blood Kirin looked at each other and landed on the plaza. 54 divine generals landed and stood at the edge of the plaza. Although they suppressed their energy, the people outside the plaza could still feel a terrifying pressure. Qin Feiyang jumped off the white-eyed wolf's back. He raised his arm and reached for the mermaid princess. The blood Kirin lay on the ground. The mermaid princess reached out and grabbed Qin Feiyang's hand. Then, she walked down from the blood Kirin's back. Fire Lotus looked at Qin Feiyang and the blood Kirin. She pointed at the king couple and smiled. "Let's go." The two of them looked at each other and held hands. They walked down the red carpet toward the king couple. The king had already returned to his seat. He and Lu Qiuyu looked at each other, and then they happily watched Qin Feiyang and the blood Kirin approaching. The five-clawed golden dragon was flying in the sky. Divine light shone, making the entire imperial city look beautiful. Finally, Qin Feiyang and the blood Kirin approached the king couple. Ling Yunfei and the others, as well as the white-eyed wolf and the other beasts, stood behind them. They were all smiling. Feng Ling smiled and said, "Finally, they are getting married." Yes, it was not easy. Ren Wushuang nodded. They were also in the bridal procession. Ling Yunfei was taken aback. He turned to look at the two women and said disdainfully, "You have not settled down yet. What right do you have to talk about him? Shut up." The two of them immediately glared at him. "Be fierce. If you continue to be fierce, you will become a leftover woman sooner or later." Ling Yunfei pouted. "Father, mother. Straight ahead." Qin Feiyang looked at the king couple. "Good, good, good. Now that you are married, you have to be more responsible in the future." Lu Qiuyu smiled. "Yes." Qin Feiyang nodded. At this time, under the command of the chief eunuch, two maids came over with teacups. The chief eunuch looked at Qin Feiyang and said, "Your Highness, it is time to hold the ceremony. You can arrange it." Qin Feiyang smiled. "Okay." The chief eunuch nodded and said with a smile, "Now let's invite the two newlyweds to face the people of the world." Qin Feiyang and the mermaid princess turned around and looked at the crowd outside. "First bow to all the people in the world," the chief eunuch shouted. The two of them bent down and bowed to the people outside. Ling Yunfei asked suspiciously, "Why is it a bow to all the people in the world? Shouldn't it be a bow to heaven and earth? Don't you know? Little Qin Zi has never bowed to heaven and earth, so he changed it to all the people in the world." The white-eyed wolf transmitted the message. "I see." Ling Yunfei nodded. He had nothing to say about bowing to all the people in the world. The chief eunuch smiled and shouted again, "Second bow to the parents who raised you." Qin Feiyang and the mermaid princess turned around again, knelt on the ground, and kowtowed to the king couple. "Good, good, good." The king couple was overjoyed. "Third bow to the elders and relatives," the chief eunuch said again. Qin Feiyang and the king couple looked at each other, and then bowed to Qin Batian, Lu Zhengyang, Yi Zhong, Qin Yuan, and the others. Qin Batian and the others were also full of smiles. The chief eunuch paused and then said with a smile, "Next, the couple will bow to each other." The two of them turned around, looked at each other, and bowed to each other at the same time. After Qin Feiyang and the king couple bowed to each other, the chief eunuch said casually, "Let's send them to the bridal chamber." The bridal chamber? Everyone was stunned. Ahem. The chief eunuch coughed and looked at everyone awkwardly. "Sorry, I'm a little confused by the change." Everyone burst into laughter. The chief eunuch smiled apologetically and said with a serious face, "The two newlyweds, serve the tea." The two maids immediately took the teacups and walked to Qin Feiyang and the king couple. Qin Feiyang took the two teacups and said to the king couple with a smile, "Father, mother, please have some tea." "Okay, okay." The couple took the teacups, took a sip, and put them aside. The mermaid princess also took the two teacups and respectfully handed them to the couple, saying, "Father, mother, please have some tea." "Okay." The two of them smiled happily, took the teacups, and took another sip. The chief eunuch said, "Let's toast to the elders here." Qin Feiyang and the king couple got up and walked to Qin Yuan first. Logically speaking, Qin Yuan was the junior of Qin Batian and the others, so it was not his turn to be the first. But no one had any objection to this, because they all knew the relationship between Qin Feiyang and Qin Yuan. The second was Qin Batian and Tan Tai Li. Next was Lu Zhengyang, followed by Emperor Hong, Emperor Chen, and the others. The ceremony is done. After the tea was served, the chief eunuch said with a smile, "Now we can send them to the bridal chamber." "Don't, why are we going to the bridal chamber so soon? Let's play a little more," Fatso suddenly said. Everyone looked at Fatso in surprise. "That's right. It's such a good day. What a waste of time," Ling Yunfei said with a smirk. "What do you want? I'm warning you, don't mess around." Qin Feiyang looked at the two of them warily. "We're not messing around. We're just messing around." The white-eyed wolf smiled slyly. Yeah, it's not fun if we don't mess around. The golden leopard nodded. Qin Feiyang swept his gaze over these guys and finally understood what was going on. This was premeditated from the start. Look at these young people, sigh. I really don't know what to say about them. Old Qin shook his head. Qin Badian smiled slightly and said, as long as it's not vulgar, it's fine as long as they're happy. It seems that we really came at the right time. Just when Ling Yunfei and the others, the white-eyed wolf and the other beasts were about to make a move, suddenly, a burst of laughter sounded in the sky. Chapter 2978. Hearing this voice, everyone was slightly taken aback and looked up suspiciously. This was because this was a very unfamiliar voice. Immediately, above the plaza, two figures appeared out of thin air. It was an old man and a young man. The old man was 1.8 meters tall and wore white clothes. He held a horsetail whisk in his hand and looked sage-like. The other person was a young man. He was also 1.8 meters tall and wore a purple robe. He had a tall figure and a dignified appearance. He gave off an extraordinary aura. Whoosh! Just as these two people appeared, Qin Badian, Yi Zhong, and the others suddenly stood up and stared at the old man and the young man with a trace of shock in their eyes. At the same time, Qin Feiyang's pupils constricted. The young man's cultivation had actually reached the initial stage of the imperishable realm. The white-robed old man's aura was even more unfathomable. Even he could not see through it. The emperor asked doubtfully, Feiyang, are they your friends? No. Qin Feiyang shook his head. He had never seen them before. He had originally thought that they might be from Great Qin or the Forgotten Continent, but after seeing through the young man's cultivation, he realized that these two people's origins were not simple. Great Qin and the Forgotten Continent did not have such experts at all. They're not? The emperor was slightly taken aback. Yes. Qin Feiyang nodded. Although Great Qin did not have any imperishable realm experts, there were many in the ancient world. There were even some hidden experts that he had never seen before. Could it be that these two people were the experts of the ancient world? Feiyang, they're not from the ancient world. Yi Zhong's voice suddenly sounded in Qin Feiyang's mind. What? Qin Feiyang's gaze trembled. They were not from the ancient world? Indeed, they're not. I basically know all the experts of the ancient world. There are no such two people. Moreover, that old man has half-step sovereign realm cultivation. Qin Badian thought. Half-step sovereign realm. Qin Feiyang's gaze trembled. That's right. His aura is even stronger than dragon sovereigns. He must have surpassed the imperishable realm and stepped into the half-step sovereign realm. Qin Badian said. Half-step sovereign, Qin Feiyang couldn't believe it. Even in the entire ancient realm, there were no half-step rulers. Just who were they? The purple-clothed young man looked at Qin Feiyang and the others and said with a smile, we came all the way here, aren't you going to invite us to your wedding banquet? He looked very amiable and didn't seem to have any ill intentions. Qin Feiyang cupped his hands and said with a smile, everyone who comes is a guest. As long as the two of you don't think it's shabby, it's fine. The purple-clothed youth glanced at the square and shook his head. It is indeed a little shabby. Qin Feiyang frowned. Just a moment ago, they had said that they didn't have any ill intentions, but in the next moment, the topic of conversation had changed, becoming sharp and unkind. What exactly were these two people trying to do? Forget about the wedding banquet. The purple-clothed young man shook his head and looked at Qin Feiyang with a smile. Are you Qin Feiyang? That's me. Qin Feiyang nodded. Although he looked calm on the surface, he was a little surprised in his heart. He actually knew his name? You're already a bridegroom. Not bad, not bad. The purple-clothed young man chuckled. The white-haired old man stood beside the purple-clothed young man and didn't say a word. Whoosh! The five-clawed golden dragon shrunk and landed beside Qin Feiyang. He said in a deep voice, "Something seems wrong." "Emicham," Qin Feiyang secretly responded. He looked at the purple-clothed young man calmly and asked with a smile, "Brother, may I ask if we've met before?" "No." The purple-clothed young man shook his head. "Then, how do you know me?" Qin Feiyang was puzzled. Fighting against the sovereign divine weapon and leading the Dragon Slayer Palace to destroy the Dragon Clan, it's hard for me not to know such shocking deeds. The purple-clothed young man smiled. "You even know these things?" Qin Feiyang's heart trembled. He asked doubtfully, "Are the two of you from the ancient realm?" If they weren't from the ancient realm, how would they know these things? But was there a half-step sovereign in the ancient realm? No. The purple-clothed young man shook his head. No? Qin Feiyang frowned and asked, "Then, may I ask where the two of you are from?" The purple-clothed young man raised the corner of his mouth and said word by word, "The fourth level of the divine sight." What? The fourth level? Qin Feiyang's expression changed abruptly. Yi Zhong, Qin Batian, and the others were the same. The white-eyed wolf, the five-clawed golden dragon, and the other beasts also stared at the two of them in shock. They were actually from the fourth level of the divine sight. This was really unexpected. Qin Feiyang took a deep breath and calmed the shock in his heart. He cupped his hands and said, "So, it's the seniors from the fourth level." Seniors? The purple-clothed young man was stunned. He shook his head and said, "I don't dare to be a senior." Qin Feiyang asked, "Then, may I ask why the two of you have come to the great Qin Empire?" "I'm definitely not interested in a small place like this that can be destroyed with a slap. I'm here for you." The purple-clothed young man said. "For me?" Qin Feiyang was suspicious. "Yes." The purple-clothed young man nodded but did not explain. His gaze turned and fell on the mermaid princess. He said with a smile, "The bride is very beautiful." "Thank you." Qin Feiyang cupped his hands and smiled. "What a pity." The purple-clothed young man shook his head again. Qin Feiyang was puzzled. "It's a pity that you don't have the fortune to enjoy such a beautiful bride." The purple-clothed young man chuckled. Qin Feiyang's eyes suddenly darkened. Now, he could already conclude that the two of them were here to cause trouble. Qin Feiyang made a prompt decision and protected the mermaid princess behind him. The five-clawed golden dragon, Qin Batian, and the others also became vigilant. The atmosphere at the scene also became dignified. Looking at the expressions of Qin Feiyang and the others, the emperor and the others had already guessed that the two of them were not here with good intentions. The purple-clothed young man glanced at the group of people and finally looked at the mermaid princess. He smiled slightly and said, "Old Hai, I like this bride." Understood. Immediately. The white-haired old man standing beside him nodded, and a terrifying divine power suddenly surged out. Qin Baishan's face suddenly changed, and he roared, "Feiyang, take her away." "Go?" The purple-clothed young man shook his head and said with a smile, "The great Qin Empire is so small, where can we go? Or to the Black Tortoise world?" "What? You even know about the Black Tortoise world?" Qin Feiyang and the others were shocked. The purple-clothed young man smiled and said, "Old Hai, don't hurt the bride." "Okay." The white-haired old man nodded, and his aura surged out. In an instant, everyone was imprisoned. Only the mermaid princess was not. Along with the pressure, she rose into the air and flew uncontrollably toward the two. "Feiyang, the mermaid princess cried out, her beautiful face pale. Although she was now a half-step invincible, the white-haired old man was a half-step ruler. How could she contend with the strength of a half-step ruler? Powerlessness and despair swept over her. You're courting death. Qin Feiyang's expression also changed. With a clang, the ancient castle appeared, and divine power spread out in all directions. The white-haired old man's aura was instantly disintegrated. Qin Feiyang jumped up and hugged the mermaid princess, protecting her in his arms, and roared, "Ancestor, Master, immediately take the people of the imperial city and leave." Hearing this, Qin Batian, Yi Zhong, Lu Zhengyang, Wang Ming, Yang Li, and the 54 divine generals all attacked. Humph! But at this moment, the purple-robed youth snorted and looked at the white-haired old man with dissatisfaction. "Old Hai, is this all you've got? I'm ashamed." The white-haired old man smiled and waved the horsetail whisk in his hand. A monstrous divine aura immediately surged out. "This is the aura of a sovereign weapon." Qin Feiyang and the others paled. They never would have thought that the ordinary-looking horsetail whisk was actually a sovereign weapon. The collision of two sovereign weapons will create a destructive force. This old man doesn't need to tell you, you should know. If you don't want this continent to be destroyed, you'd better behave. The white-haired old man looked at Qin Feiyang and said indifferently. Qin Feiyang's gaze was gloomy. He naturally knew about sovereign weapons. If two sovereign weapons collided, the great Qin Empire would instantly be reduced to ashes. At that time, not only the people of the great Qin Empire, but even his family would all die. How could he let such a thing happen? Right now, we can't care about the people in other places. Send the people here to the Black Tortoise world first. Qin Batian said. Qin Feiyang nodded his head. With a wave of his hand, the people inside and outside the plaza immediately disappeared. Outside, only Qin Feiyang, Qin Batian, Lu Zhengyang, Yi Zhong, and the ancient castle were left. The purple-robed youth smiled. "Looking at you, you're planning to resist until the end. Is it worth sacrificing the entire great Qin Empire for a woman?" Qin Feiyang was silent. The purple-robed youth said, "Old Hai, let them experience what pain is." Boom! The white-haired old man waved his hand and a divine light shot out, blasting toward the 9th district. In an instant, with a loud bang, the entire 9th district was reduced to ashes. Countless people died tragically. Not even their bones were left behind. The 8th district was also affected. Houses collapsed one after another. It was a scene of devastation. Qin Feiyang was seething with anger. "Hand over the bride immediately, or more people will die." "I'm not joking. Because you care about these people's lives, but I don't." The purple-robed youth smiled faintly. "Feiyang, let me go with them." The mermaid princess' voice suddenly sounded in Qin Feiyang's mind. Qin Feiyang's eyes trembled. "I can't implicate the entire great Qin Empire just because of me," the mermaid princess said. She had seen the destruction of the 9th district in the Black Tortoise world with her own eyes. Her heart was filled with pain. "No!" Qin Feiyang roared. "Feiyang, I know you care about me. I don't want to leave you, but we have no other choice now. If the great Qin Empire is really destroyed because of me, I will feel guilty for the rest of my life," the mermaid princess said. Qin Feiyang said, "Don't worry, I have a way to solve it." "There must be." Suddenly, his eyes lit up. Qin Yuan appeared and said, "Uncle Yuan, quickly use the power of rule force to deal with them." Qin Yuan was slightly stunned. That's right. He could now control the power of rule force of this world. Although he didn't know how strong the sovereign divine weapon was, the power of rule force was the source of this world. It might be able to suppress the sovereign divine weapon. Immediately. He waved his hand, but in the next moment, his expression froze. What's wrong? Qin Feiyang asked. I can't control the power of rule force. Qin Yuan shook his head. Could it be that the small beast lied to us back then? It didn't give you and the white dragon this authority? Qin Feiyang was bewildered. You're tuning into the Xiaofan's Wuxia Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.